Chapter 461. Battles depend on momentum. How's everyone's recovery? In the underground dungeon, the voice of the adventurers, team leader, Dragon Slayer Andwood, echoes. Rest assured, Captain, everyone has drunk the magic and strength potions and is back to their full capacity. Good, then let's continue exploring the dungeon. The core of this dungeon is the Crown of Bravery. Owning it means that humans can control this dungeon and the waves of magic beasts will no longer be a worry. We would also definitely earn the king's praise. This is the first time we could possibly acquire a legendary item like this, truly earning our name as the Brave Adventurers Squad. Waves of magic beasts refers to the moment when the population of magical creatures inside a dungeon becomes so large that they burst out of the dungeon and attack humans. Adventurers fight in dungeons not merely for wealth and respect, but also to reduce the number of magical beasts and thus decrease their wave attacks. And the Crown of Bravery can boost our spiritual power. We're just one step away from becoming legendary adventurers. With the boost from the Crown of Bravery, we should be able to advance to that level. The adventurers looked forward to it, as if they could already see the days when they would triumphantly return after successfully slaying the Demon King. The newly recruited mage confidently stated, "The next floor's magic beast is Hydra Zudra. Hydra Zudra can release poison liquid and gas, but we've stacked our poison resistance to a high level so we don't need to worry about its poison attacks for a short while. The hardest part about fighting Hydra Zudra is its 9 heads. If you cut off one, it'll grow back. To defeat it, we must cut off all 9 heads at the same time. That's a tough task for other adventure squads, but not for us. With our brave adventurers squad all working together, knowing each other's intentions, and coordinating perfectly, attacking all 9 heads at once should be no problem. If my prediction is correct, we should conquer the next floor very soon. Captain, as the strongest among us, the middle head of Hydra Zudra is your responsibility." "No problem, let's go to the next floor." However, when they got down to the next level, they found not Hydra Zudra, but a pure white unicorn standing there, graceful and beautiful. A legendary magical beast, a unicorn. The pressures on the brave adventurers squad doubled. How did a level 5 magical beast, the Hydra, turn into a legendary unicorn? Shouldn't a legendary magical beast be on the last floor of the dungeon? The unicorn frowned slightly at the sight of the adventurers. "Humans, I'm just here guarding this place for Zudra, I don't wish to kill. Leave immediately." If Lance were here, he would undoubtedly persuade everyone to leave and think about a long-term plan. How ridiculous, as the brave adventurers squad, destined to defeat the Demon King in the future, how can we run away now? What courage would we have to face the Demon King then? Everyone, prepare for battle. Andwood took his battle stance. The newly recruited mage quickly analyzed the situation and formulated the best strategy, and the rest of the squad members took their respective positions based on their roles. It wasn't their first time defeating a legendary magical beast. The ancient dragon and the 3-headed helldog were a testaments to that. The unicorn doesn't like to fight or shed blood, but when it was about to say something to prevent the fight, Andwood charged forward, brandishing the dragon-toothed sword. This is a trophy from the ancient dragon they defeated. Courting death, even the mild-mannered unicorn couldn't help getting angry. While it dislikes killing, it doesn't mean it can't kill. The unicorn let out a huge arc of lightning, blasting Andwood back. If Andwood hadn't bathed in dragon blood, this blow alone would have severely wounded him. Even so, Andwood's left arm was scorched by the electricity and difficult to move. "Priest, heal the captain, shield up," the newly recruited mage commanded. The priest prayed to the gods, covering Andwood in a white glow that quickly healed his wounds. The healing spell, Light Illumination, cost spiritual power to heal the wounds of the one being treated rapidly. The unicorn, furious as ever, let out arcs of lightning centered on itself. Squad members firmly planted their giant shield on the ground, forming a protective membrane comprised of numerous translucent hexagons. Defense skill, Turtle Shell, can protect all teammates within range. While the unicorn's attention was on the shield, the assassin disappeared, silently approaching the unicorn. The unicorn stomped its hooves on the ground, releasing a shockwave that forced the assassin out of stealth mode. "Radiant sword," Andwood exclaimed as a column of light struck downwards, but the unicorn easily dodged. The wizard frowned. They should have first used a control spell to hold the unicorn, and then Andwood should have released his light sword technique. The wizard swung his magic wand, giving everyone a positive boost. The archer aimed at the unicorn, constantly shooting arrows, the arrows nearly forming a straight line. The blacksmith held 2 cannons, bombarding the front hooves of the unicorn, preventing it from using its trampling ability. Each member of the hero squad had unique skills. With their cooperation, they indeed stood a chance of defeating the legendary demon clan. But it was merely a chance. The unicorn opened its mouth, releasing a silent ripple, inflicting 50 times the pressure on everyone. The unicorn released an arc of electricity, hitting the annoying priest. Sumi. Andwood shouted the name of the priest. He and Sumi had grown up together, they lived in the same village. When they were playing house, Sumi even said she would marry him. The unicorn continued to release electric arcs. The assassin, the shield bearer, the archer, their teammates fell to the ground, heavily injured one after another. Everyone. He saw his teammates being defeated one by one, filled with grief and fury. He slowly raised his dragon-toothed sword and charged at the unicorn. At that moment, he remembered the good times spent with his teammates, their laughter and joy, the villagers' earnest hopes, and the vow he made before the statue to defeat the Devil King. For everyone, I can't lose. Andwood roared, bursting out with unparalleled strength. Then he was kicked away by the unicorn's hind hooves, breaking a large piece of rib in his chest. The unicorn sneered, I thought you were so confident, had some sort of trump card, turns out it's just a hidden skill of power increase by mindset. The mindset power increase is indeed a rare and strong hidden skill, but the growth of this skill is not infinite. Do you really think if you believe you are very powerful, you are indeed powerful? The wizard showed a look of despair. Even the explosive Andwood had failed, the defeat of Hero Squad was inevitable. How is this possible? Andwood's move could even kill the ancient dragon. His teammates couldn't believe what they were seeing. The unicorn was indifferent. By its power, it could indeed slay that stupid old dragon, but that must have been when the old dragon was exhausted or unprepared. So you think you can kill me by just brazenly rushing at me? As the strongest demon under the Devil King, what makes you guys think that my power is in any way similar to that old dragon? Are your human brains filled with water? Everyone then recalled their past fight with the ancient dragon. Lance made plans, constantly harassing the ancient dragon, poisoning it, causing the dragon to be too occupied to fight back, which gave them a chance to attack the dragon. Before, they thought Lance's plan was too sly. A true hero should fight the ancient dragon head-on. Now, they understood the advantages of Lance's plan. Andwood, unwilling to accept defeat, lifted his sword and staggered towards the unicorn. The unicorn, no longer finding this amusing, was about to release its strongest skill, to kill these annoying humans. Step, 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 step. The steady footsteps echoed in the empty dungeon, drowning out the crackling sound of sparks from the unicorn's horn. You look pretty strong, stronger than the clay puppet on the last level, but you shouldn't be on this level, tell me why. Zhongli slowly approached the unicorn with his hands behind him, his tone casual. The unicorn broke out in a cold sweat. It didn't think Zhongli was merely making small talk. Lance and the elf archer followed behind Zhongli. Everyone stared at Lance in shock, unable to believe their eyes. Why did Lance have 3 pieces of hero equipment? Chapter 462, The Change of the Demon King. The unicorn morphed into the form of a woman with a long horn, kneeling before Zhongli. Responding to your divine question, a demon king has taken the throne, and I was defeated in battle. I came here for some peace and quiet, after driving away the Hydra, Shudella. If you are looking for it, it's on the floor below us. In Zhongli's presence, the unicorn felt an even stronger oppression than that of the demon king. She couldn't discern Zhongli's identity, but it would never be wrong to address him as a deity. Seeing that the unicorn was treating Zhongli with utmost respect, Lance and the others were dumbfounded. The priest took this opportunity to use his strongest healing skill, enabling everyone to regain their ability to move. This was the limit of the priest. I'm not interested in the 9-headed monster, as you, known to be the strongest beneath the demon king, should know plenty. I dare not hide anything in front of a god. I was once the strongest under the demon king, but now I can only claim to be the second. With your strength being second, the first must be very strong. I wholeheartedly admit my defeat. The unicorn recalled the previous battle with trepidation, as that battle was an utter crushing defeat. She didn't have any chance of fighting back. Lance used his appraisal skill, and upon seeing the unicorn's status dashboard, was taken aback. Blood count, mana, spiritual power, attack power, defensive power, all these stats combined were not even half of the unicorn's. There were also a whole bunch of extremely rare skills. Even if the unicorn claimed to be the demon king, Lance would believe her. Seeing this kind of demon, instead of running away, Andwood and his group were still daring to fight. Are they tired of living? Lance walked up to Andwood, looking at him with pity. If it weren't for Zhongli's intervention, everyone would have died under the unicorn's attack. Before you fight, don't you analyze the enemy's intelligence? Do you think all legendary ranking abilities are the same? I said before, don't rely on Andwood's spontaneous outbreak skill. It's unstable and not invincible. Lance asked casually, but to Andwood and the others, it felt heavily laced with sarcasm. Especially the newly recruited magician, he had replaced Lance's position but was unable to accomplish things like Lance. Andwood lowered his head in shame since due to his arrogance, the team had almost been annihilated. The female archer asked curiously, what exactly were you thinking when you kicked Lance out of the squad? The team members were silent. They called themselves the Brave Squad, but after half a day, Lance showed up in full Brave gear in front of them, mocking them in a way that made them want to crawl into a hole and hide. Lance, can you rejoin our squad? I'll give you the position of team leader, we can work together to progress and conquer the Demon King. Andwood felt that no matter how powerful Lance was, he still needed team support. Winning against the Demon King on his own was impossible. Lance gently shook his head. I have completely dissociated myself from the Brave Squad. Lance looked at Zhongli, and defeating the Demon King is not something we need to bother ourselves with anymore. Looking at Zhongli and the prostrating unicorn, he couldn't help but wonder. If the unicorn was only second to the Demon Clan, then who was first? How strong would the Demon King be? Could the human race equipped with 4-piece suit really defeat the Demon King? And when did the changeover of the Demon King occur? How did humans not know about it? Isn't there always only one Demon King? He had never heard of any changes over. The Demon King has changed. The unicorn respectfully responded, yes. About 2 years ago, a new Demon King suddenly appeared, killing the old Demon King. In the Demon Clan, power is respected, whoever is strongest is the Demon King. After the new Demon King ascended the throne, he wasn't interested in invading the 3 tribes. He spent his days playing in the Demon Clan, appearing and vanishing unpredictably. Nobody could trace the new Demon King's whereabouts. Thus, after ascending to the throne, the new Demon King disappeared quickly. The Demon King just showed up again recently, with a new unfamiliar Demon Clan general by his side. This Demon Clan general, who appeared to be a frost giant, is indescribably powerful. I even think this Demon Clan general could potentially be more powerful than the old Demon King. After my battle with the Demon Clan general, I realized the gap between us. Disheartened, I decided to retreat here alone. And then I met you. What does the new Demon King look like? I don't know, the new Demon King is constantly shrouded in dark fog, so it's unclear which branch of the Demon Clan he is from. Perhaps the Demon Clan general accompanying him may know what the Demon King looks like. Once I've collected the Crown of Bravery, I can directly go and offer congratulations to the new Demon King. Zhongli felt that the matters of the Demon Clan were more complicated than he had imagined. How much do you know about the relationship between a deity and the Demon King? I know nothing about it, the old Demon King never mentioned it. What about the formation of the dungeon? Which formation? The unicorn looked bewildered. Seeing Zhongli's disappointed expression, the unicorn quickly explained, I am a solitary being, I do not like trouble. I only have acquaintances in the Demon Clan, I don't have any interest in the secrets of the Demon Clan, so I have never deliberately sought to understand. The Brave Squad returned to the surface to heal, and Zhongli took the unicorn, Lance, and the female archer to the final floor. In order to demonstrate her usefulness, the unicorn stepped forward ahead of Zhongli to attack, shattering the magic puppet. This is the Crown of Bravery, please have a look, mighty deity. The unicorn presented the Crown of Bravery. The Crown of Bravery was a crown woven from golden olive branches. Just as Lance assumed that Zhongli, as usual, would throw the Crown of Bravery to him, Zhongli seemed interested in the Crown of Bravery and tossed it up in the air, showing no sign of handing it to Lance. This Crown of Bravery is interesting, after wearing it one's mind can be controlled by others. Instead of calling it the Crown of Bravery, it might be more fitting to call it the Puppet Crown. The unicorn cried out in shock, can this thing control one's mental state? The unicorn had also heard of the prophecy that a brave warrior would appear to defeat the Demon King. The weapon of bravery controlling the brave warrior. Who would want to do this? Lance could hardly believe it. Who knows, it might be a god, a demon, or it could be a third force. Since we can't find the deity for now, we could head to the Demon King's castle and meet the new Demon King to ask directly. The female archer covered her ears, her face changing drastically. The Demon King is not in the Demon King's castle, he's appeared in our elf forest. Impossible. The new Demon King has never left the territory of the Demon Clan. Our elf clan is connected by bloodlines, which allows messages to be passed through these bloodlines. Just now the elf queen sent a message to all elves, saying that the demon king has appeared in the elf forest, shouting for the elf god to come out. A domineering demon clan general is also by his side. The queen has instructed elves outside not to return. Zhongli lacked understanding about the elf clan, so Lance explained to him, the elf clan is a species who are arrogant to outside world, but united within. The bloodline is one of their symbols of internal unity, used to transmit messages to the entire clan. Oh merciful God, I beg you to save our elf clan. The female archer was about to kneel before Zhongli. Zhongli stopped her. My goal was to find the Demon King anyway, your news has actually saved me from running a futile errand to the Demon King's city, I should be thanking you. Get up, the female archer gratefully said, you really are a kind and great deity. Chapter 463, Old Acquaintance. In the elf forest, the Demon King and the Demon Clan General stood overhead, looking down at the elf forest. Facing the various reactions of the handsome elves, they seemed to reveal a smug smile. Hey. The terrifying Demon King was shrouded in fog, making him look even more mysterious and ominous. The oppression the Demon Clan General brought to the elves was even greater than that of the Demon King. Having a tall and robust stature, he was like the legendary god of light who opened the heavens and earth. With his head up in the clouds, even elves who maximized their dynamic vision skill could not see his appearance clearly. There were only 2 individuals in the demon tribe, yet they seemed like the Demon King's army had surrounded the city, with dark clouds looming overhead. No, these 2 seemed even more oppressive than the Demon King's army. Your Majesty, what should we do? The elves panicked, seeking guidance from the Elf Queen. The Elf Queen was the strongest of the elves, a legendary archer. Her charged arrow could inflict heavy damage on the North Sea giant monster, even if it was under the deep sea. The North Sea giant monster is the king of the ocean, and it listens to no one other than the Demon King. The Elf Queen's arrow could penetrate the resistance of the ocean and wound the North Sea giant monster, indicative of her strength. If the North Sea giant monster did not escape quickly, the second arrow from the Elf Queen would have killed it. And yet, even the mighty Elf Queen, in the face of the Demon King and the Demon Clan General, did not have the courage to draw her bow. The difference in strength was too vast. What is the origin of this Demon Clan General and the Demon King? 2 years ago, it was said that the new Demon King killed the old Demon King and then disappeared. I thought it was a rumor, but looking at this now, it seems to be true. While the race of the Demon King is unknown, this Demon Clan General should be the legendary Frost Giant, even possibly the original Frost Giant. An elf speculated with a grave expression. In the mythical legends, the original Frost Giant was sleeping in the chaos. Even the fight between the 7 gods and the Demon King did not wake it up. Perhaps the new Demon King went into the chaos and awakened this original Frost Giant. Considering their strength and size, it was only natural that the elves thought of the Frost Giant. Elves, hurry up and call out your elf god. I have something to ask her. The voice of the Demon King came from all directions, causing the elves to tremble. Wasn't the elf god sealed by the old Demon King? How could they summon the elf god? The elves didn't understand and didn't dare to speak more. They could only shiver in fear. If they can't summon the elf god, they would have to face the wrath of the Demon King. Their death is certain. Fortunately, there are still a small number of elves out on adventures, otherwise the entire elf race could have been wiped out. The Elf Queen was relieved. Your Majesty, I'm back. The elf archer, Lana, excitedly saluted the Elf Queen. Lana, didn't I tell you not to come back? Why did you come back? The Elf Queen looked very angry seeing Lana. If it were a hopeless situation, of course, I wouldn't have come back. But this time is different, I have brought help. Lana stepped aside and solemnly introduced Zhongli. This is a god from another world, who is as great as our elf god. As for the unicorn and Lance following behind her, due to the urgency of the situation, they were not introduced yet. The Elf Queen would not believe Lana simply based on her word, and Zhongli didn't feel the need to explain either. He squinted at the Demon King and the Demon Tribe War General, feeling that the situation was somewhat unexpected. That is to say, the current situation is better than he expected. Zhongli flew into the air and asked loudly, Gourd of Wishes, Sect Master Li, what are you doing here? The Demon King and the Demon Tribe War General shook noticeably. From today onwards, he is the Demon Tribe's foremost general. The Gourd of Wishes, seated at the Demon King's position, introduced Li to his subordinates. Some of the Demon Clan were unconvinced of Li and challenged him. The result was, of course, a simple victory for Li. In front of Li, who had transcended beyond mortality once and reached the Transcendence Tribulation stage. The legendary demon clan was no different from Chicks. Since I'm investigating this world, might as well start from the upper levels. After appointing Li as the Demon Tribe War General, the Gourd of Wishes dismissed the other Demon Clan members, and began analyzing the world's situation with Li. The passage of time in this world is quite different from Juzhou world, about 1 to 5. I've been sentient for 10 years, but based on Era World's time, it's only been 2 years. According to the Era World's timeline, 2 years ago, I came to the Demon King city via Brother Fanshan's channel. The Demon King threatened to wipe out my consciousness and take control of my body, so I unleashed the Ghost Soldier Tribulation on him. The Ghost Soldier Tribulation amplifies in severity proportionally to the number of people one has killed. Perhaps the Demon King had killed too many, he died under the Ghost Soldier Tribulation, and I smoothly became the new Demon King. Considering that my gourd form lacks credibility, I covered myself in trioblation fog to create a sense of mystery. Speaking up to this point, the Gourd of Wishes looked regretful. Just when I was expanding my influence, planning to transform the Demon Tribe Kingdom into the Spiritual Treasure Dynasty, the human emperor used some unknown method to pull me back. What a pity. My subordinates thought I went sightseeing, but I was actually caught and taken back by the human emperor. The strongest and most ancient beings in the Era world are the Demon King and the 7 gods. Now that the Demon King is dead, I guess we can only go question the gods. Although the gods claim to be sealed, the truth is, they're just hiding. We need to find them. Li thought of something and asked, what races are there in this world? The Gourd of Wishes explained, besides the distinctive-looking demon clan you just met, there are humans, elves, and beast clans. Elves and humans look similar, the biggest difference is that they are all handsome and have long ears. Beastmen vary in appearance, based on a humanoid foundation, they have animal ears and tails. Li said, in that case, let's go to the elf clan first. According to the legends, the elf god is most compassionate towards the elf clan. If we scare the elf clan a little, we might be able to scare the elf god out. The Gourd of Wishes hovered, circling around Li. I thought you would go to the beast clan first. Li waved his hand, the mission entrusted by the human emperor is the first priority, personal interest is secondary. But why do I see you with a wide grin? You seem very happy. That's an illusion, I'm not interested in the elf clan. Li tried hard to keep his grin smaller. Oh, later, the two arrived at the elf clan. To intimidate, the Gourd of Wishes exerted its might, and Li displayed a towering divine body, standing in front of the elf forest. The effect was evident, as Zhang Li was drawn over. That's how it is. Both the arrogant new Demon King and Demon Clan General honestly explained the course of events to Zhang Li. Zhang Li was caught between laughter and tears, were the first and second leader of the Demon Clan, one an immortal artifact, and the other a human. Did that mean the true first combatant of the Demon Clan was this unicorn? Li looked up, seeing the transformed unicorn for the first time, his eyes sparkled. Chapter 464. So there are more heavenly demons outside the domain than just Yi's envoy. Are you saying that the new Demon King is a gourd, and one from your world nonetheless? Lance found the whole situation preposterous. He had initially thought that Zhang Li was on par with the Demon King in terms of power, but now, after observing their relationship, it was clear that Zhang Li was significantly stronger than the Demon King and the Demon Tribe War General. How big a backer had he hitched his wagon to? As they chatted and made their way towards the elf forest, Li felt as though he had arrived in the immortal realm, leaving him feeling quite elated. What marred this pleasant experience was the fact that the elves didn't quite revere the powerful Li. Instead, they found him quite terrifying. Li felt like he had given up too much in his quest to find this god and unravel the truth behind everything. The next time he visits the Beast Kingdom, he must show his gentler side to the beastmen. Li looked at the unicorn kindly. Even though he had defeated it and had made it clear where it stood in relation to him, Li fought fair and square, ensuring the defeat wasn't too unbearable for the unicorn, which he hoped should make it feel somewhat fond of him. The transformed unicorn had kept its horn and had become a beautiful matron with white hair and blue eyes. Even among the comely elves, she stood out. The unicorn couldn't help but find Li's gaze a bit strange. Why did the Demon Tribe War General look at her differently when she was in her transformed state versus when she wasn't? The original Demon King was very strong, probably at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, and was the strongest being in this world. The disciples of the Light God stand no chance against him. The Wishful Gourd was sharing the intel it had gathered. As the new Demon King, the Wishful Gourd was the most authoritative speaker in this world. In reality, it had not been the Demon King for very long. It took Zhongli a few days to bring back the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal and then use the system to purchase the immortal artifact and regain the Wishful Gourd. Counting it all, the Wishful Gourd had only been the Demon King in the Era world for less than 3 days. Its extensive knowledge came primarily from the old Demon King's good habit of keeping a diary. By reading the diary, the Wishful Gourd had learned many secrets of this world. The human emperor must have read the Light God manual. Most of what is written in it is true, but some parts are inconsistent with what actually happened. For instance, the Light God wasn't the very first deity. The 3 tribes and the demon tribe had been at war for a long time, and the 3 tribes were consistently at a disadvantage. It was only after the appearance of the Light God and the 6 others that the 3 tribes gained the ability to keep the Demon King in check. The Light God and the other 6 deities were only in the body integration realm, and the reason they could oppose the Demon King was the force of faith. The faith from the 3 tribes empowered the Light God, giving them a fighting chance against the Demon King. Neither the Demon King suffered heavy damage nor were the 7 deities sealed away. Their conflict was nothing but a show. At the 9 Provinces Conference, the Wishful Gourd was confident enough to invite the Union sect to this world because the most powerful being in this world, the Demon King, had died under the tribulation. Even if it had to face the empowered Light God, the Wishful Gourd had enough strength to protect the female cultivators of the Union sect. Moreover, protecting the female cultivators of the Union sect might even earn their good graces. Unfortunately, at Yu Yin's insistent request, the Union sect disappeared, leaving Li Er, who didn't need its protection, in its stead. The Wishful Gourd intentionally flew a bit slower and bumped into the buxom Elf Queen. The Elf Queen, with no other choice, reluctantly held the Wishful Gourd. Li Er carried on from where the Wishful Gourd left off. The Demon King was already a very strong being, and was close to ascending. There has been an ascender in the Era world before, and that was the frost giant ancestor mentioned in the ancient legends. The Demon King, whose power was comparable to the frost giant ancestors, believed that he could ascend too. But with the celestial ladder broken, how could he ascend? That was when the Demon King met a heavenly demon known as the Honggu Messenger. The Honggu Messenger demonstrated a power that convinced the Demon King, who believed his every word. Zhongli plucked the Wishful Gourd from the Elf Queen's arms, tossing it onto a tree branch as he said, "I thought there was only one heavenly demon, do ye? Turns out there are others." Li Er agreed. "I thought the same." The Honggu Messenger told the Demon King he was from the immortal realm. "It's really ridiculous when you think about it. A heavenly demon claims to be from the immortal realm. How does he have the nerve?" Li Er laughed, finding the Honggu Messenger's self-introduction quite funny. The Honggu Messenger told the Demon King that to ascend to the immortal realm, he was lacking in 2 areas. First, ascending is akin to a complete transformation, and the Demon King had too many karma attached to him, which held him back. To ascend, he would first have to sever his karma and reduce interactions with the outside world. This was exactly why the old Demon King never left the Demon King city and seldom interacted with others. The second reason was that the Demon King's power was not sufficient to reach the immortal realm, and he still needed to gather energy. But the Demon King couldn't leave the Demon King city, so what could he do? The Honggu Messenger kindly suggested a solution. He taught the Demon King a formation for draining life energy. Both adventurers and monsters would battle in the dungeons, and no matter which side died, the Demon King would benefit. Thus, the Demon King laid out this formation in every dungeon. But what the Demon King didn't know was that the benefit he derived was pitifully small. More than 1,000 years had passed, and the power he gained merely took him from the mid-period to the later period of the tribulation stage. At this rate, it would take another 700 or 800 years before he would even have a chance to pass through the immortal tribulation. And even if he attempts the immortal tribulation, he would be facing the slimmest of odds. The Wishful Gourd could simply release the Ghost Soldier tribulation that could easily kill the Demon King. The Ghost Soldier tribulation is one of the easiest in the immortal tribulation. At the very least, no one in the 9 provinces had ever failed to pass it. As someone who had passed through the immortal tribulation once, Li Er had considerable insights into passing through the tribulation. Excluding the anomaly that was Zhong Li, the person who had gone through the most immortal tribulations in 9 provinces was Shuemi Lao Fo, who had passed through 3 times. Following him was the Commander Lu, who had passed it twice. Both Li Er and Bai Hong had passed the immortal tribulation once, while the Sword Monarch and Yu Yin had yet to reach the standard necessary to attempt the immortal tribulation. I suspect that the formation taught by the Honggu Messenger is not as simple as it seems. The Demon King gained very little power. So where did all the remaining energy go? Most importantly, I found this formation in the Demon King city, and the Demon King had no knowledge of it. The wishful gourd took the opportunity to take credit. It was us. Li pushed the wishful gourd away. I was the one who found it. I discovered it when I used my divine sense to probe the Demon King city. You were the Demon King for just a little over 2 days and you knew nothing about the Demon King city. Don't you want to go to the Beast Kingdom anymore? We found it together. Since it's a question about formations, let's ask the expert. Zhang Li called Bai Hong. Are you busy, old Bai? The others saw that on the other end of the remote communication talisman, Bai Hong was multitasking. All 3 of him were casting spells, moving mountains, filling seas, planting trees, creating forests. It was as if he was planning a military strategy, commanding an army, and he seemed as serious as a tribulation crossing cultivator. Sect Master, this area needs to be planted. What kind of tree should we plant? Do we have that kind of hawthorn tree that makes you have diarrhea after eating it? No, then just randomly plant anything, as long as it's not a hawthorn tree. After giving his instructions, Bai Hong responded to Zhang Li. Not too busy. Are you saying that the new Demon King is a gourd, and one from your world nonetheless? Lance found the whole situation preposterous. He had initially thought that Zhang Li was on par with the Demon King in terms of power, but now, after observing their relationship, it was clear that Zhang Li was significantly stronger than the Demon King and the Demon Tribe War General. How big a backer had he hitched his wagon to? As they chatted and made their way towards the elf forest, Li felt as though he had arrived in the immortal realm, leaving him feeling quite elated. What marred this pleasant experience was the fact that the elves didn't quite revere the powerful Li. Instead, they found him quite terrifying. Li felt like he had given up too much in his quest to find this god and unravel the truth behind everything. The next time he visits the Beast Kingdom, he must show his gentler side to the beastmen. Li looked at the unicorn kindly. Even though he had defeated it and had made it clear where it stood in relation to him, Li fought fair and square, ensuring the defeat wasn't too unbearable for the unicorn, which he hoped should make it feel somewhat fond of him. The transformed unicorn had kept its horn and had become a beautiful matron with white hair and blue eyes. Even among the comely elves, she stood out. The unicorn couldn't help but find Li's gaze a bit strange. Why did the Demon Tribe War General look at her differently when she was in her transformed state versus when she wasn't? The original Demon King was very strong, probably at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, and was the strongest being in this world. The disciples of the Light God stand no chance against him. The Wishful Gourd was sharing the intel it had gathered. As the new Demon King, the Wishful Gourd was the most authoritative speaker in this world. In reality, it had not been the Demon King for very long. It took Zhang Li a few days to bring back the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal and then use the system to purchase the immortal artifact and regain the Wishful Gourd. Counting it all, the Wishful Gourd had only been the Demon King in the Era world for less than 3 days. Its extensive knowledge came primarily from the old Demon King's good habit of keeping a diary. By reading the diary, the Wishful Gourd had learned many secrets of this world. The human emperor must have read the Light God manual. Most of what is written in it is true, but some parts are inconsistent with what actually happened. For instance, the Light God wasn't the very first deity. The 3 tribes and the Demon Tribe had been at war for a long time, and the 3 tribes were consistently at a disadvantage. It was only after the appearance of the Light God and the 6 others that the 3 tribes gained the ability to keep the Demon King in check. The Light God and the other 6 deities were only in the body integration realm, and the reason they could oppose the Demon King was the force of faith. The faith from the 3 tribes empowered the Light God, giving them a fighting chance against the Demon King. Neither the Demon King suffered heavy damage nor were the 7 deities sealed away. Their conflict was nothing but a show. At the 9 Provinces Conference, the Wishful Gourd was confident enough to invite the Union sect to this world because the most powerful being in this world, the Demon King, had died under the tribulation. Even if it had to face the empowered Light God, the Wishful Gourd had enough strength to protect the female cultivators of the Union sect. Moreover, protecting the female cultivators of the Union sect might even earn their good graces. Unfortunately, at Yu Yin's insistent request, the Union sect disappeared, leaving Li, who didn't need its protection, in its stead. The Wishful Gourd intentionally flew a bit slower and bumped into the buxom Elf Queen. The Elf Queen, with no other choice, reluctantly held the Wishful Gourd. Li carried on from where the Wishful Gourd left off. The Demon King was already a very strong being, and was close to ascending. There has been an ascender in the Era world before, and that was the frost giant ancestor mentioned in the ancient legends. The Demon King, whose power was comparable to the frost giant ancestors, believed that he could ascend too. But with the celestial ladder broken, how could he ascend? That was when the Demon King met a heavenly demon known as the Honggu Messenger. The Honggu Messenger demonstrated a power that convinced the Demon King, who believed his every word. Zhongli plucked the wishful gourd from the Elf Queen's arms, tossing it onto a tree branch as he said, "I thought there was only one heavenly demon, do ye? Turns out there are others." Li Er agreed. "I thought the same." The Honggu Messenger told the Demon King he was from the immortal realm. "It's really ridiculous when you think about it. A heavenly demon claims to be from the immortal realm. How does he have the nerve?" Li Er laughed, finding the Honggu Messenger's self-introduction quite funny. The Honggu Messenger told the Demon King that to ascend to the immortal realm, he was lacking in two areas. First, ascending is akin to a complete transformation, and the Demon King had too many karma attached to him, which held him back. To ascend, he would first have to sever his karma and reduce interactions with the outside world. This was exactly why the old Demon King never left the Demon King city and seldom interacted with others. The second reason was that the Demon King's power was not sufficient to reach the immortal realm, and he still needed to gather energy. But the Demon King couldn't leave the Demon King city, so what could he do? The Honggu Messenger kindly suggested a solution. He taught the Demon King a formation for draining life energy. Both adventurers and monsters would battle in the dungeons, and no matter which side died, the Demon King would benefit. Thus, the Demon King laid out this formation in every dungeon. But what the Demon King didn't know was that the benefit he derived was pitifully small. More than 1,000 years had passed, and the power he gained merely took him from the mid-period to the later period of the tribulation stage. At this rate, it would take another 700 or 800 years before he would even have a chance to pass through the immortal tribulation. And even if he attempts the immortal tribulation, he would be facing the slimmest of odds. The wishful gourd could simply release the ghost soldier tribulation that could easily kill the Demon King. The ghost soldier tribulation is one of the easiest in the immortal tribulation. At the very least, no one in the 9 provinces had ever failed to pass it. As someone who had passed through the immortal tribulation once, Li Er had considerable insights into passing through the tribulation. Excluding the anomaly that was Zhong Li, the person who had gone through the most immortal tribulations in 9 provinces was Shuemi Lao Fo, who had passed through 3 times. Following him was the Commander Lu, who had passed it twice. Both Li Er and Bai Hong had passed the immortal tribulation once, while the Sword Monarch and Yu Yin had yet to reach the standard necessary to attempt the immortal tribulation. I suspect that the formation taught by the Honggu Messenger is not as simple as it seems. The Demon King gained very little power. So where did all the remaining energy go? Most importantly, I found this formation in the Demon King city, and the Demon King had no knowledge of it. The wishful gourd took the opportunity to take credit. It was us. Li Er pushed the wishful gourd away. I was the one who found it. I discovered it when I used my divine sense to probe the Demon King city. You were the Demon King for just a little over 2 days and you knew nothing about the Demon King city. Don't you want to go to the Beast Kingdom anymore? We found it together. Since it's a question about formations, let's ask the expert. Zhong Li called Bai Hong. Are you busy, old Bai? The others saw that on the other end of the remote communication talisman, Bai Hong was multitasking. All 3 of him were casting spells, moving mountains, filling seas, planting trees, creating forests. It was as if he was planning a military strategy, commanding an army, and he seemed as serious as a tribulation crossing cultivator. Sect Master, this area needs to be planted. What kind of tree should we plant? Do we have that kind of hawthorn tree that makes you have diarrhea after eating it? No, then just randomly plant anything, as long as it's not a hawthorn tree. After giving his instructions, Bai Hong responded to Zhong Li. Not too busy. Chapter 465, State of Mind and Strength. I want to bury you in a feng shui treasure spot. Oh, I apologize for speaking my mind. Just ignore that. We ran into a problem with a formation in a different world. You guys, who do you mean by that? Zhong Li swiftly revealed the gourd and Li Er. Bai Hong too immediately understood the situation. The situation was simple. Yu Yin was worried that the gourd couldn't control itself in the other world, and Ao Chengcheng also worried about her husband Li Er flirting with others. Therefore, both of them hoped that Zhong Li would secretly follow the gourd and Li Er. When Zhong Li unintentionally exposed his whereabouts and was discovered by the gourd and Li Er, the 3 of them were together. Bai Hong too is a smart man. He often deduces the truth from clues, which is impressive. What formation problem? Zhong Li showed Bai Hong to the formations he had encountered in the underground city, and Li Er also showed the formations in the Demon King city. 4 underground cities, 1 Demon King city, a total of 5 formations, all different. Bai Hongtu started calculating with his fingers. The more he calculated, the more frowned he was. The 5 formations are interrelated, but this is obviously not all. There should be other formations. Could it be that there are formations in other underground cities too? Zhang Li stood up and flew rapidly, scanning hundreds of underground cities with his divine sense. Bai Hongtu was surprised. This is a big project. Each level of the underground city is a small, precise formation. Each level combined forms a medium-sized formation, and all the underground cities combined are a super large formation. Did you guys go to a magic world or a formation world? Zhang Li didn't know how to respond to Bai Hongtu's sarcasm, so he replied seriously, calculate it. What is the purpose of the heavenly demon creating such a large formation? Bai Hongtu was also straightforward. He imprinted the formations layer by layer into his mind and quickly analyzed them. This formation is very interesting. Bai Hongtu, who had deduced the results, started to analyze. The formations of the underground cities have 2 functions. One is to provide power to the Demon King, and the other is to awaken the 3 races. When the underground city is controlled by the demons, it can only provide power to the Demon King. Once the 3 races conquer the city lord of the underground city and gain control, the formations of the underground city have the second function, to enhance the power of the children of the 3 races. You, yes, you. Bai Hongtu pointed at Lance. You should be a native of this world. How old are you this year? 25 years old. What's your cultivation? Oh, you don't understand it. What's your level? Zhang Li answered for Lance. He is a level 5 magician. Although he is physically weak, he can temporarily strengthen his body with magic. Overall, he is somewhat equivalent to the divinity transformation stage. That's where the problem lies. Who among the Kyushu today can reach the divinity transformation stage at 25, apart from Wu Ji and the youngsters you've nurtured? Zhang Li nodded slightly. The people in this world have great potential. It's not just Lance. The members of the Brave Squad are roughly at the same level as Lance. I thought it was because of the different systems. According to what you said, does it have anything to do with the formations in the underground city? Thus, Bai Hongtu could finally display his intellect proudly in front of Zhang Li. They used to compete covertly against each other when participating in the human emperor candidates selection, and they were equally matched. Bai Hongtu asked, if my estimate is correct, this world did not have so many talents at the beginning, did it? They have increased in recent years, right? This question needed Lance to answer. Yes, in recent hundreds of years, the age of level 5 warriors, magicians, assassins and other professions has been getting younger, constantly breaking the record for the youngest age. Currently, my former team leader, Dragon Slayer Andwood, is the youngest level 5 warrior, and I am the youngest level 5 magician. See, I am not wrong. Li was confused. Why is that? Zhang Li understood, because they have been conquering the underground cities. Every time the 3 races conquer a city, the power contained in the formation would be released into among the 3 races, promoting the growth of their children. After conquering the underground city, the formation would change. Am I right, Bai? Get away, you're always stealing my thunder. Bai Hongtu shooed Zhang Li away. Zhang Li continued, this world places too much emphasis on power and neglects the state of mind, causing a dissonance between power and mindset. It's like a child swinging a huge hammer, unable to fully control the power and not considering the consequences. Children level up too fast and think they're invincible. They rampage around recklessly, repeating this several times, and they will die in the underground city. Li felt touched. The education system in this world is not complete. They only teach the children how to use power, but they don't teach them to be cautious. Each of them thinks they are the legendary heroes, destined to defeat the Demon King, marry the princess, receive the king's reward, be loved by the people, and become a great hero in history. By contrast, the education system in Kyushu is very complete. Teachers instruct children to learn restraint before they even start cultivating. The goal of becoming a cultivator is not to flaunt your power, but to pursue longevity. When resources are abundant, flaunting power and seeking longevity are obviously conflicting. Apart from a comprehensive educational system, there is another reason why the cultivators of Kyushu did not become overly proud. Zhang, the human emperor, is still around. Even if you're strong, can you be stronger than Zhang, the human emperor? Even without Zhang Li, the cultivators of Kyushu know that there are heavens beyond heaven and people beyond people. After reaching the end of the human path, there's the path of the immortals, and after reaching the end of the immortal path, there's the heavenly Tao. Along the path of seeking immortality and Tao, cultivators need to always maintain a humble heart. According to the map you gave me, the demon race has already lost control of nearly half of the underground cities. As the three races control more and more underground cities, the age of their powerhouses keeps breaking the lower limit. If all the underground cities are conquered, there might be a divinity transformation stage at the age of 8. Bai Hongtu was not used to using terms like warrior and magician. A divinity transformation stage at the age of 8 means that this child can use power at will based on his interests, which is a disaster for the whole world. If the child is unhappy, he might stomp his foot. Nothing will happen if a normal child stomps his foot, but if a divinity transformation stage child stomps his foot, it might cause an earthquake. Zhang Li pondered, this forms a vicious cycle then. The underground city would release a wave of demons, attacking the three races. The three races must conquer the underground city. As the number of conquered underground cities increases, more children gain power, which is actually detrimental to the three races. Bai Hongtu said, and this is not the key point yet. The key is that the formations of all the underground cities can form an even larger formation, which will further lower the age limit of the powerhouses. How low can it go? Divinity transformation stage right at birth. A baby at the divinity transformation stage can truly destroy the world. Let alone understanding power, babies don't even have the concept of self yet. They just cry. Any random thought from a baby can result in massive casualties. Chapter 466, Establish Another God. Lands in the heroic squad, indeed, they're young and powerful, but it doesn't mean that all 25-year-olds are level 5 warriors or level 5 mages. Lands and his team are just a small representation of those with exceptional talent, while many of their peers are still struggling at levels 2 or 3. The formation of the dungeon does not make everyone become easier to cultivate, it only targets newborns, making it easier for them to level up. Among these children, there are differences too. Only a small part of them can become level 5 warriors or legendary warriors, most of them can only stay at levels 3 or 4. This small portion of children is key to the destruction of the world. It's not necessarily about conquering all the dungeons. Maybe when 4 out of 5 dungeons have been conquered, the appearance of a 10-year-old at the divinity transformation stage will be enough to destroy the world. 10-year-olds throwing buildings around like sandbags and casting skills they don't even know the effects of. It's entirely possible for this world to be driven towards destruction. These heavenly demons are getting more and more cunning. Li Er felt he couldn't handle the job of an extraterrestrial heavenly demon. These extraterrestrial heavenly demons, one more cunning than the last, possessing destructive powers but choosing not to use them. The group continues talking and walking. Invited by the elf queen, they enter a large tree. The tree is hollow and large enough for elves to reside in. In the center of the tree, there is a round table made from the tree's heartwood. The group gathers round, placing Bai Hongtu's hologram at the center. The hospitable elves bring a fruit plate for everyone, including Bai Hongtu's hologram. Zhang Li taps the tree table and asks, the question is, what role do the gods play here? The dungeons cause the three races to become stronger, the gods bestowed skills upon humankind. Did they know that the more dungeons people conquer, the quicker they are destroying themselves? Zhang Li produces the hero's crown and asks the new Demon King and Demon Tribe War General, did the old Demon King ever talk about the purpose of the hero's 4 items? Especially the hero's crown, which can control the hero. Both the Ruyi Gord and Li Er shook their heads after thinking, no. In the old Demon King's diary, it was mentioned that the Honggu messenger told the old Demon King that 7 gods shared the same stand with him. If the old Demon King could ascend to the immortal realm, then the Era world would belong to the 7 gods, hence there was no need to worry about the 7 gods obstructing his ascension plan. Indeed, that was the case. The 7 gods bestow skills upon the 3 races, giving them the ability to fight in the dungeons, and the number of adventurers gradually increased every year. Lance, the archer Lana, and the elf queen felt more and more like they were listening to a tall tale as they heard the pair chat. They casually discussed the issues arising from conquering all the dungeons, and how to destroy the world. Taking into account that among these 3, one is a demon clan general, one a new demon king, and one their boss, who is incredibly powerful, they weren't just joking around, but seriously discussing how the world of Aera was heading for destruction. When they heard their speculation that the 7 gods and the demon king were in league, Lance, as a believer of the gods, felt the urge to defend the righteousness of the gods. The 3 races introduced the adventurer system to reduce the mortality rate. If the gods wanted more people to die, why didn't they prevent the establishment of the Adventurers Guild? Zhang Li asked the Ruyi Gord and Li Er on Lan's behalf, do you know anything about the Adventurers Guild? Both shook their heads. The Rui Gord had only been in the world of Aira for 3 days, while Lier had only been there for 1 day. They were both on the demon tribe's side and did not know much about the human tribe. Zhang Li explained, the Adventurers Guild divides adventurers into 5 levels, from beginner to level 5, but it is not comparable with the levels of warriors or mages. The levels of warriors and mages only measure strength, but adventurer levels also require experience. You need to complete missions and accumulate experience to level up. For example, the members of the squad Lands as in are all level 5 warriors, assassins, priests, but they lacked experience and were likely to mess up in the dungeon. By rights, they shouldn't have been able to complete the mission or become level 5 adventurers. Lands joining the squad made them more cautious. As they completed more and more missions, they rose to level 5. The adventurer system effectively reduced the death rate. Li said nonchalantly, maybe the gods thought that if humans just recklessly charged into the dungeons, they'd soon be wiped out, and the Demon King wouldn't gain much experience, so they adopted a slow but steady strategy. That's why they didn't prevent the introduction of the adventurer system. The Rui Gord was more interested in Zhang Li's opinion. It hesitated and said, does human emperor mean that the gods might be good? Zhang Li shook his head, not necessarily, I'm just stating facts. The old Demon King did not mention the hero's crown in his diary, which indicates that the hero's crown, a mind-controlling item, was crafted by the gods. However you see it, it's not a good thing. The gods' actions are contradictory, perhaps we can only understand them when we find the gods. Do the two of you know how to find the gods? The Rui Gord said a little embarrassingly, we're trying to do that. We plan to start with scaring the elves. If that doesn't work, we will go to the beastmen. If that doesn't work either, we will approach the humans. Zhang Li turned to ask Li, what do you think of the Rui Gord's plan? Li scratched his head, it doesn't seem very reliable, there's no need to go to the humans, it's enough to go to the elves and the beastmen. Zhang Li felt that he couldn't count on these two. He turned to ask Lands and the Elf Queen, where do the gods dwell? The answers from Lands and the Elf Queen were surprisingly consistent, the gods are omnipresent. The gods are omnipresent, are you talking about gods or heavenly Tao? In Zhang Li's perception, only the heavenly Tao could be omnipresent. Lands gave a bitter smile, this question was really out of his depth, Sir Zhang Li, we really do not know where the 7 gods are. The Light God Manual states that the gods are omnipresent. Zhang Li could understand, gods always make mysterious and cryptic statements. If they weren't saying that they reside in the highest realm, they were claiming to be omnipresent. Let's briefly analyze this, the gods are hiding somewhere unknown, and we need to find them or force them out. Judging from the lengthy chant needed to cast magic, gods value faith the most. As long as we break their faith, they will be forced to appear even if they don't want to. Li was curious, how do we break their faith? The easiest way to make people stop believing in the 7 gods is to establish another god. Zhang Li pointed to himself, like me. Bai Hongtu excitedly suggested, how about calling it the god of darkness? Or the god of Mahayana or the god of immortality? Let me tell you, when it comes to naming a god, the most important thing is to be domineering. Zhang Li expressionlessly turned off the remote communication talisman. Useless things are better left turned off to avoid causing irritation. Chapter 467, My surname is Zhang. The adventurer who just emerged from the dungeon was exhausted. He was panting heavily as he walked. During the fights in the dungeon, he had been continuously consuming strength potions, causing him to now enter a day-long cooldown period, during which the strength potions won't work on him. He was staggering with an axe in his hand into a small forest, feeling a bit thirsty. He had already finished his water while in the dungeon. He remembered there being a river nearby and soon found it after seeking for a while. As the adventurer bent over to drink water, the axe hanging from his waist accidentally fell into the river. My axe. The adventurer regretted. The axe was a gift he bought for himself after becoming a level 3 adventurer, it holds a significant meaning for him. Just as he was about to go into the river to retrieve the axe, a majestic figure holding 2 axes appeared before him, with golden light rippling on the river surface. Tired adventurer, is this legendary world-opening axe or this level 5 mountain-splitting axe yours? The adventurer was somewhat stupefied, thinking he was hallucinating due to extreme fatigue. Legendary weapon, level 5 weapon. He couldn't afford either of the axes even if he sold himself. Neither the world-opening axe nor the mountain-splitting axe is mine. I just had a very ordinary level 3 axe. The figure showed a relieved expression. Young adventurer, considering your honesty and integrity, I shall give you these 2 axes and your original axe as well, a total of 3 axes. May I ask, who are you? I am the river god. Holding the 3 axes, the adventurer stood still dumbfounded. A legendary weapon. It could make one rich enough to buy a noble title in the empire and become a local lord, owning tens of thousands of acres and never worry about food and drink. Such a weapon materialized in his hands out of nowhere. When the adventurer came to his senses and wanted to ask the river god more questions, the river god had already vanished without a trace into the river. River god. Finally, the adventurer realized the weight of the title, river god. It's not about the river, but the god part. There are only 7 deities in Era world. When did this one pop up quietly? The adventurer lightly swung the legendary axe. Without using any skill, he managed to split the ground open, just relying on the sharpness of the axe. It's genuine. The adventurer sold the level 5 axe and got a large amount of money. He bought a house in the city and hired a maid and a butler. He decided to keep the legendary axe and his own level 3 axe. The adventurer loved drinking. He got drunk in the tavern and those who recognized him were curious about the source of his wealth. Of course, if he were sober, he wouldn't reveal his fortuitous encounter. But now he was drunk and wanted to show off, so he retold the event of meeting the river god. And due to vanity, his tale was flamboyantly embellished. The originally subtle appearance of the river god was exaggerated by the adventurer to be grand and dazzling to a degree as if the river god was displaying his grandeur at the creation of the primordial world. Upon hearing the news, the customers rushed to the location mentioned by the adventurer and threw their wealth into the river in the middle of the night. However, the river god did not appear this time, and the people had no choice but to resign to their fate and retrieve their belongings from the river. This won't work. The river god has telepathic powers and can distinguish between genuine and fake intentions. If you throw things into the river with impure hearts seeking gains without effort, naturally the river god will ignore you, a voice rang out from the crowd. Who are you? I am Lance, the mage of the former heroes team. Being the youngest mage, Lance was widely known amongst the adventurers. Lance casually displayed a spell that only high-ranking wizards could perform, convincingly proving his identity to the people. Someone asked, "Can you tell us about the origins of this river god?" Lance grew extremely excited upon hearing the question, his eyes shining with fanaticism. "You don't know about the river god? Well, it's not your fault. He's a humble yet powerful deity, so not many know of him." "How did you find out about the river god?" People told Lance all about the adventurer's incident with the legendary axe. A legendary axe and a level 5 axe. Do you know what this means? It means the river god can create things out of nothing. What? The people were shocked. The power of the river god was too exaggerated. Even the light god couldn't do this. Upon thinking carefully, they realized it made sense. The river god would indeed be capable of creating things out of nothing, otherwise, where could the 2 axes have come from? Seeing people's surprise, Lance became more relaxed. If you knew the origins of the river god, you wouldn't be so surprised. You thought that being the river god, he is only the god of this small stream. Impossible. How can such a small stream bear the weight of a deity? The river god is none other than the god of primordial chaotic river. Primordial chaotic river. The people had never heard of this term before. The light god manual mentions the light god emerging from the chaos, right? The complete description of chaos was actually the primordial chaotic river. In other words, the light god was born from the primordial chaotic river, and the river god governs this river. Do you understand the hierarchy between them now? The people took a sharp breath. Doesn't this mean that the river god is the god of all gods, the supreme deity? Lance showed an approving expression. Exactly. The river god likes to sleep, and he has been sleeping in the primordial chaotic river for tens of thousands of years. His appearance in the water and rewarding honest and kind people means that he's starting to awaken. We understand now. How could we make the river god appear? Lance shook his head. When you threw things into the river with the wrong mindset, hoping for undeserved gains, you have already lost the karma to meet the river god. The people anxiously asked, what should we do to obtain the river god's forgiveness? Sincerity, the more devout the better. This is a matter of attitude. Being the most high deity, the river god doesn't need your faith. Lance took out a small river god statue from his bosom and placed it on the river bank. Strangely enough, as soon as the statue of the river god was placed on the ground, the rippling surface of the river instantly calmed down, becoming smooth as a mirror, marveling everyone. People tried to observe with various skills secretly, but couldn't understand the principle behind it. A miracle, an absolute miracle. I see. The people seemed to understand something. They gathered by the riverside, singing praises to the greatness of their river god. But how many among them were just going with the flow? how many were faking it, and how many were genuinely devoted, is unknown. After these people left, the river god Zhongli appeared. Lance immediately lost the composure he had earlier and gave a wry smile. Lord Zhongli, why did you choose the title of river god? Chaos god, god of darkness, god of war, god of victory aren't good enough. What Lance didn't mention was that as a deity competing with the 7 gods for faith, shouldn't his name be on the same level as those 7 gods? The title of river god doesn't sound imposing at all. It doesn't inspire belief in anyone. Zhongli waved his hand. What are you talking about? My surname is Zhong, so naturally, I am the river god. Quote. Lance felt that there was some truth in Zhongli's words. Chapter 468. Promotion thanks to the alliance leader, what did I lose? Leader stepped out and referred thoughtfully, so if we're going by that logic, wouldn't I have to be a tree god since my surname is Li? The wishful gourd also voiced its confusion. I'm named Wishful, so doesn't that mean oh no, that's not right. The full name is Wishful Gourd, it can't be broken down, I don't have a surname. Zhongli didn't know whether this man and gourd were genuinely baffled or just pretending. At this initial phase, the miracles we reveal don't need to be overly miraculous, the primary goal is to make people aware of the existence of the river god. Leader conformed. Currently, our manpower is limited, it's difficult to perform miracles everywhere, which will slow down the propagation. Zhongli thought Li Er's concerns were unnecessary. Do you believe I can't even achieve the small feat of splitting myself into millions? While talking, Zhongli splits himself into numerous copies and disappears. At the moment, my clones are heading to every river. After tonight, all rivers will reflect my figure, except sewage paths. Li Er was gobsmacked. Others might not realize the complexity of the spell that Zhongli just performed, but he understood that even the elite immortals only possess such skills. Sometimes Li Er doubts whether the difference between him and Zhongli is actually a mere level gap, it doesn't feel like it. I'll go to the elf forest to advertise the river god to the human emperor. The wishful gourd volunteered enthusiastically, its yellow skin turning red in excitement. Zhongli stopped wishful gourd. There's no need for us to exert too much effort in the elf forest, the queen of elves will help us. As for the beast kingdom, I'll go to the beast kingdom. Li Er took responsibility and volunteered for the task. And me, I'll go too. Like Li Er, the wishful gourd was also excited. If it couldn't go to the elf forest, then the beast kingdom doesn't sound bad either. Upon seeing the high spirits of man and gourd, Zhongli felt reassured. Then it'll be you two and the unicorn, headed to the beast kingdom to promote the river god. Lance and I will stay in the Holy Empire. The transformed unicorn sported a horn on its head. This wasn't an issue. In the beast kingdom, everywhere one looks they can see beast-human hybrids who maintain some beastly characteristics. The legend of the river god started spreading gradually among the elves, forest, beast kingdom, and the Holy Empire established by humans. People also started realizing that the river god is not fabricated, but truly exists and is omnipotent. The event of a lost axe can't happen every day, thus river god Zhongli needed other ways to showcase his greatness. The river surface glowed gold, signaling the appearance of the river god. One person kneels before the river god. "O great river god, please grant me a child." Zhongli thought this request was beyond his capabilities. However, being a deity of the primordial chaotic river that he is, it wouldn't sound reasonable for him to be incapable of granting a child. Secretly, Zhongli contacted the couple Ma Zhou to create some revitalizing medical prescriptions, then reach out to the chief of Alchemy Peak, Su Wei, to amend the prescriptions into something usable in Era World. Upon seeing Ma Zhou's prescription, Su Wei was astounded, considering these two as concealed alchemy geniuses for coming up with rejuvenating formulas from such unique perspectives. Zhongli knew that once this couple starts anything related to childbearing, their talents are terrifying. It's better to teach a man to fish than to give him a fish. If you use the medicine as per this prescription, you will have numerous offspring. That person thanked the river god and left. People saw him seeming delighted and went forward to ask about the situation. It's truly a real god. I went to church to pray for a child and the priest said he could stand in my stead. But compared to the church, the river god is even more reliable. Some raised doubts, but being able to directly see a deity and having our wishes granted feels quite lackluster compared to the mysterious 7 gods. Others scoffed at the doubt. Are you implying this is the true form of a deity? How could that be possible? The true form of the river god rests in the primordial chaotic river. This is but a mere thought of a god. A single thought from the river god becomes a clone. I heard there are images of the river god everywhere in the empire. It's not just in the Empire, tradesmen have said that the Beast Kingdom and Elf Forest also bear the image of the River God. That many clones from the River God. Oh great River God, I hope my child can be a great hero. However, I also fear mishaps might happen in the dungeons. Do you have any solutions? Dear mother, all you need to do is to soak your child in the river, and it will ensure his robust health. Upon hearing this, the mother joyfully grabbed her child by the ankle and dipped him into the river water. Lance asked curiously, have you decided on a name for your child? His name is Achilles. Oh great River God, as a wizard, I have an odd fondness for melee combat, however my teammates are not very happy about it, and I can't learn close combat skills. Can you transform me into a warrior? The wizard put down his heavy magic wand and made his wish. Wizards can cast spells on themselves to enhance their bodies, giving them physical abilities that rivals a warrior's. Persistent spells require constant consumption of mana, and hence, this style of fighting can't be maintained for long. Typically, a wizard will only resort to this when forced into close combat. With a placid look on his face, Zhongli responds, my child, as a god, I'm capable of anything. I can definitely aid you in becoming a warrior, but the skills blessed upon you by the God of Light conflict with mine. You must completely let go of your faith in them to receive the skills I bestow. Without overthinking, the wizard abandoned all his skills. Zhongli displayed his divine power by imprinting his finger on the wizard's forehead, helping him to begin his chi cultivation to become a chi cultivation stage cultivator. Zhongli also gave the wizard a manual of body refinement techniques and some resources for his cultivation. The God of Light and others provide skills that are shortcuts and unconventional. You shall cultivate according to the mantra in this manual. Within 10 days, you should start seeing results. The wizard was overjoyed. From the moment he attained chi cultivation stage, he believed he already became a warrior, and hence naturally believed whatever the river god said afterward. What weapon do I need after becoming a warrior? The wizard looked at his cranium hammer spell staff, murmuring to himself, might as well replace it with a heavier staff. The wishful gourd served as the spokesperson for the river god, marketing the greatness of the river god tirelessly, attracting all the beastmen. What, you want to learn time manipulation magic? As insignificant as breathing for the river god. Don't you be doubting, you know what? The river god doesn't just rule over the primordial chaotic river, have you heard of the time river? The river god rules that too. The river god wanders through the time river, the one and only god that has existed since the dawn of time and till the end. He is the inception and also the demise. Compared to the river god, the god of light who governs over the light domain is but a false god. Wishful gourd chattered nonchalantly. After all, it was Zhongli's job to fulfill the promises, it was only there to do the marketing. When the followers came with the desire for time manipulation spells, the river god Zhongli almost teared the wishful gourd apart in vexation. You wish to learn time manipulation spells, huh? Chapter 469, each shows their miracles. As a qualified god, Zhongli must always maintain a calm mind. Child, why do you want to learn the time reversal spell? Zhongli kindly asked, then glanced at the magic gourd from the corner of his eye. The magic gourd shuddered involuntarily. Those who had been enticed by the magic gourd were all beast-eared young girls. Half the day had passed and Zhongli had yet to see a single male beastman. This time was no exception. The young girl's black cat ears trembled slightly and her tail coiled. She was clearly nervous. I want to cure my mother's illness, but the priests in the cathedral say that my mother's illness is hopeless. Even legendary priests can't save her. Only a time reversal spell can cure my mother. As the black cat girl began to cry, the magic gourd watched her tearfully. Zhongli swept away with his divine sense, analyzing the black cat girl's bloodline to find her bedridden mother. She was indeed gravely ill. Likely from adventuring in underground dungeons as a youth, she was inflicted with a dark curse from the demon clan. Her organs were failing, and a strange toxin was corrupting her body. Zhongli pulled off a jade green leaf, gently scooped a few drops of water onto it, and casually tossed it. The green leaf fell into the girl's hand, and the drops of water on it swayed back and forth like jelly, clear and transparent, unable to shake off the leaf. Child, the time reversal spell isn't almighty. It won't save your mother. When you get home, have your mother drink these drops of water. It will restore her health. Thank you, river god. The black cat girl sobbed, tears of joy streaming down her face. She bowed in thanks to Zhongli, her tail curled in happiness, then raced home as fast as she could. Having taken just a few steps, she slowed, afraid the water would spill from the leaf. After examining it, she found the water attached to the leaf had some kind of magical property and wouldn't spill. Reassured, she resumed running home. Her journey home was filled with setbacks. For instance, a beast man sprung from the roadside intending to knock her over, a flower pot fell from the sky, aimed directly at her head. It was as if 10 years' worth of misfortune had all caught up with her that day. Perhaps the river god was protecting her. The beast man tripped and fell, missing her, and as soon as she took a step forward, the flower pot fell right where she used to stand. Had she walked half a second slower, she would have been hit. Huh, the church, Zhongli chuckled emotionlessly. This was human disaster, not natural. Anyone who couldn't be cured by the church but who was healed by the river god would seriously damage the church's reputation if news got out. Uncertain about Zhongli's capabilities, the church didn't dare to confront him directly and chose to take it out on the Black Cat Girl instead. The church used various tactics covertly, all of which were easily dismantled by Zhongli. The Black Cat Girl returned home safely, despite all the surprises on the way. Calling out to her mother twice and getting no response, the Black Cat Girl saw that her mother was so ill she couldn't even open her eyes. If she had been delayed on the way home, she feared she might not even be able to see her mother one last time. Remembering the leaf in her hand, the Black Cat Girl opened her mother's mouth to administer the medicine. Strangely enough, the water that had clung to the leaf throughout the girl's journey home, now easily dripped into her mother's mouth. As seconds ticked by, the Black Cat Girl paced anxiously about the room. Finally, her mother opened her eyes. "Am I still alive?" The mother looked utterly bewildered. She had long been suffering from chronic heart pain, an injury she got from adventuring in the underground dungeon. They had never had the money to treat it, but she thought she could hold on. Unfortunately, injuries and illnesses cannot be easily ignored. Her condition worsened over the past few years, and the cost of treatment by the priest skyrocketed. Eventually, she had to give up on getting treatment. In these few days, her condition swiftly deteriorated. The burning sensation never left her body. She always pretended nothing was wrong whenever she saw the concerned looks from her daughter. In reality, the pain was unbearable and left her nearly speechless. If she weren't bedridden from the pain, she would have gone to the underground dungeon to put an end to her suffering, not wanting her daughter to go begging for help everywhere. When she woke, she realized the burning sensation was gone. A sensation of relief washed over her that she hadn't felt in a long time. It felt like divine nectar bathing her entire body. The Black Cat Girl burst into tears of joy and recounted to her mother the story of the emerging god of river and how he had saved her life with the gift of a few drops of water. After this ordeal, both the Black Cat Girl and her mother saw clearly. Instead of the greedy church, the river god was more trustworthy. The mother and daughter started spreading word of the greatness of the river god, and news of the river god started to circulate in their area. Similar incidents were happening all over the Beast Kingdom. Not too far away from an underground dungeon, Lear was watering a tree. "Bear Clan Big Brother, what are you doing?" A group of doe girls returning from triumphant raid on the underground dungeon, came across Lear watering the tree, sparking their curiosity. Lear had a robust figure and dense body hair, much like a bear. He did not mind being mistaken for a bear since he assumed the identity of a Bear Clan member when he was hanging around in the White Marsh Empire. The Bear Clansmen would be overjoyed, rather than opposed, to Lear's choice. It's much easier to blend into the monster clan as a monster than as a human being. "Watering," Lear replied while gently watering a sapling with the river god's water. "Is there something special about this tree?" "This sapling is something I came upon by chance. I had a 5th-level magician named Lance use his identification skill on it, and it was determined to be the first tree of creation, also referred to as the World Tree." The doe girls looked at each other, baffled. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't connect this small sapling to the first tree created in the world. They reckoned this Bear Clansman had been deceived. It's well known in the Beast Kingdom that, other than the Roe Deer tribe, the Bear tribe is the most gullible. Unfortunately, this sapling was born too early. When it came into existence, there was nothing but primordial chaos surrounding it. The chaotic forces suppressed its growth, keeping it small. Being the World Tree, its life requirements are nothing ordinary. It needs to be nurtured with divine water bestowed by the god of the primordial chaotic river, only then can it sprout new buds. Lear scooped a ladle of water and said, "This is the divine water given by the river god. Would you like a taste?" Weaned for poison resistance, the doe girls were not worried about toxins. Driven by their curiosity, they all had a taste. The water was sweet and refreshing. Though the girls wanted another sip, Lear stopped them. "The divine water is precious, and this is all I have. I have to reserve it for watering the World Tree." The Do girls found Li Er's style of speech quite amusing, so they made a point to have a chat with him each time they returned from the underground dungeon. Other adventurers also took note of Li Er's actions. In no time, tales of a strange man watering a tree near the underground dungeon spread. The news was shared around for a good chuckle. No one took the tales seriously, until one day, the dungeon was overrun with monsters that surged towards the nearest city. This event sent chills down the spines of all three clans and was known as the Surge of Darkness. Meanwhile, Li Er continued to water the world tree sapling regularly, just as Zhongli had instructed, unmoved by the chaos. Chapter 470, The River God That Swept Across the World. Bear Clan Uncle, run quick, the demons are coming, cried several Deer Clan girls, who had run out from the dungeon in panic. They saw Li Er calmly watering a broken tree, and rushed toward, frantic with worry. Li Er chuckled, the world tree will protect us. The Deer Clan girls tried to drag Li Er away, but he was as heavy as iron and wouldn't budge. They had to abandon him and rush back to the city to prepare to resist the impending monster wave. Kilometers away, a dense crowd of demons charged toward the city. Slimes, goblins, skeleton monsters, two-headed wolves, all were mindless, low-level demons. The intelligent demons had no reason to leave the dungeon to attack the three races: human, fairy, beast. The old demon king's orders were for them to battle the three races in the dungeon, not to leave and strike. On the city walls, beast tribe soldiers stood waiting in stern formation. The adventurers' guild was calling adventurers to resist the monster wave. Several Deer Clan girls were gripping their weapons nervously, their magic prepared and ready to unleash at any moment. Based on previous experience, at least 1/3 of the participating adventurers would die in the monster wave. I wonder how the uncle is faring. He wouldn't let us drag him away. He's obsessed with his sapling. Despite their words, they were still worried about the safety of the Bear Tribe uncle as they looked towards Li Er's position from the city walls. When the monster wave comes, the uncle might be the first one. They fell silent, understanding what their companion meant. Look, what's that? They shouted in surprise. From Li Er's location, a beam of light shot up into the sky, and a towering green tree that seemed to reach the heavens appeared before everyone's eyes. The tree was so tall that its top was invisible to them. The World Tree. The name flashed in everyone's mind. Just recently, they had laughed at Li Er's tale of him watering the tree, but now seeing this gargantuan tree, they were reminded of the World Tree Li Er had spoken of. The World Tree had 9 thick branches, each topped with a globule of light, mysterious as if it contained a world within itself. The branches of the World Tree swayed, and a small cyclone generated from one of the globules of light started rolling between the leaves, turning into a full-blown hurricane. The other globules also showed their power one after another. Light, darkness, fire, water, metal elements intertwined, rushing towards the monster wave with the hurricane. The once terrifying monster wave in front of the formidable power of the World Tree looked pathetically weak as paper, torn apart at the merest touch. The monster wave was annihilated, and peace returned. If it weren't for the World Tree still standing there, the beastmen would think the monster wave was a collective hallucination. River God Primordial, the first tree, could it be that what the uncle said was true? Faced with the miracle before their eyes, the Deer Clan girls were forced to believe it. Seeing several Deer Clan girls looking at him with faces full of admiration, Li Er, who had transformed into a World Tree, fell into deep doubt. The human emperor once told him that he would definitely be worshipped by the beast tribe if he did as the human emperor did. Perhaps they would even venerate him. Now his persona was up and running, and the World Tree was also standing tall, but he couldn't get out. He himself was the World Tree. If he wanted to reveal himself, he would have to dispel the World Tree form, and that would blow his cover. I shouldn't have been tricked by the human emperor, should I? After transforming into the World Tree, Li Er couldn't even move. A World Tree running around on legs, how ridiculous would that be? As the biggest miracle manifested by the River God, the appearance of the World Tree made everyone aware of the River God's existence. None of the factions would ignore the World Tree, which could completely wipe out the monster wave. The humans, beastmen, and fairies. The number of people who believed in the River God gradually increased among the three races. Some even spontaneously built churches by the rivers to pray to the River God for blessings. Compared to the 7 deities, the River God was clearly more reliable. If you believe in the 7 deities, what profession or skills you receive depends on luck. If you believe in the River God, you can learn an art called cultivation. Although cultivation is slow, it offers greater freedom. Whether you achieve something depends on your aptitude, not luck. Moreover, cultivation can extend one's life. In the Era world, Even if they became level 5 adventurers, they only lived up to 100 years. Cultivation was different. The minimum life expectancy is 130 years with no upper limit. Who wouldn't want to cultivate? Only a minority could become adventurers. Many were commoners toiling in the fields. They lacked the talent of adventurers and could not go into the dungeon. Cultivation did not need talent. Following the guidance of the river god, becoming a chi cultivator was not difficult. Many common people chose to cultivate. Cultivation also required a certain state of mind. Those who were impulsive and eager for quick success were not suited for cultivation. This made a number of adventurers wishing to make a name in the dungeon cool down. Those adventurers who battled in the dungeon always carried a water bottle filled with river water during fights. Drinking the river water could clear one's mind, restore energy and heal injuries, making it far better than magic potions with a cooldown period. Before the manifestation of the river god, people relied on the healing skills of priests for treatment. It wasn't philanthropic work for the priests. Their fees were high, and very few people could afford it. For instance, the mother of the black cat girl, if she had had enough money to invite the priest to heal at the beginning, wouldn't have ended up on her deathbed. After the appearance of the river god, people chose to drink river water for healing. The church was gnashing its teeth in anger at the river god but had no way to counter. They knew that the river god might indeed be a deity of the primordial chaotic river as the rumors suggested, existing before the god of light. Even within the church, a faction devoted to the river god was formed in secret. After all, the church worshipped God, not specifically the 7 deities. As long as it was a deity, the church could believe in it. The church had not realized the loophole in its doctrine before, because they believed God referred to the 7 deities, so they didn't emphasize it explicitly. Now they noticed the loophole. When a new deity appeared, the church's position turned awkward. The red-robed archbishop prayed to the 7 deities several times, hoping for revelation. Unfortunately, it was useless. The 7 deities were still unconscious. By what means do you cure diseases? By drinking river water? The Gord was amazed, finding Zhongli's methods incredibly magical. If there were a Zhongli sect or great vehicle sect, he would like to offer 3 sticks of incense. It's the Tai Universal Healing Water Technique. I learned it by chance in the Taoist scripture library. With such magical abilities, why don't you help the cultivators in Jojo realize their wishes? Zhongli shook his head slightly. Wishes should be realized by oneself. If I help them realize their wishes, it would make them develop a habit of gaining without labor. Once that happens, they are ruined. What I want to do is lower the cultivation difficulty and give everyone an equal opportunity for cultivation. This is why I encourage the Ling medicine sect to develop simple elixir formulas and reduce the price of elixirs, so that even ordinary cultivators could afford them, preventing instances where those injured couldn't afford treatment. Then there's the cultivation manual I wrote, aiming to instruct children on how to cultivate in a simple and easy to understand way. There are many more examples. What I provided to Jojo's cultivators was opportunity, not results. This time, as the interim river god, once the 7 deities are found, the river god's position will end. Chapter 471. The galaxy is also a river. What happened to us? The god of light slowly awoke, as if from a distant slumber. He felt as if he had been sleeping for a very long time. The god of light saw 6 of his companions lying next to him, their eyes dazed. What happened? As the 7 gods were of comparable strength, when the god of light awakened, the other 6 gods gradually came to as well. The beast god was a lion, with a human body and a lion's head. He shook his mane, recalling that before he fainted, it had something to do with time magic. I remember now, there was a mysterious believer who asked us for skills. Our belief was swept up, and we had to respond to his queries, said the elf god who was in the form of a blonde-haired, green-eyed girl. Remembering the mysterious believer made all the gods shiver. That believer was terrifying, almost draining them completely. Having lived for more than 1,000 years, this was the first time they had encountered someone so bewitching. No, that man who claimed to be the Hongu messenger 1,000 years ago was just as unfathomable, said the god of light, recalling the Hongu messenger who claimed to be from the immortal realm. Are you saying, this believer and the Hongu messenger are both from the divine realm or even of the same rank? Asked the wind god. He had the worst luck among the 7, as the believer always seemed to demand something of him which led to him being the most severely injured and still weak now. Legends in the Era world mention the upper realm. For instance, the original frost giant had ascended to the upper realm, and 1,000 years ago, Era world began calling the upper realm the divine realm. Even if the Hongu messenger told them the upper realm was called the immortal realm, they couldn't change their habit. It's very likely, said the god of light solemnly, deeply impressed by the Hongu messenger. The Hongu messenger seemed omnipotent, employing bewildering methods. Something's not right, why isn't my body recovering? Shouted the wind god. Even if he was seriously injured, he shouldn't be continuously in an injured state. The power of belief is diminishing drastically. Did our long unconsciousness cause people to forget about us? The 7 gods were terrified. They desired to break free from the shackles of the power of belief, but they also couldn't completely leave it. Let me see what's happening. The god of light projected himself onto one of his own statues, observing the actions of the religious officials below. The religious officials didn't know they were being observed. They brought out a statue of the river god and worshipped it in secret. The faction of the river god in the church was a minor one, not recognized by the bishop. They could only secretly worship the river god to demonstrate their sincerity. River god above, I hope my daughter is safe in the underground dungeon. I wish the church would pay higher wages. I beg the river god to help me pass the religious official exam and become a formal religious official. I'm seeking the river god's guidance. Should I stay in the church or become an adventurer? They tried a few times and realized that the statue of the river god did not respond. The religious officials looked up at the statues of the 7 gods and whispered to their colleagues, I heard that the river god doesn't manifest where the statues of the 7 gods are. Could it be true? I don't know. Let's leave the church and try outside. The god of light was perplexed. After changing several statues, he always found religious officials who had changed their faith. If this is the state of the church, one can imagine the condition of the common people. This river god is that believer who pledged to us. The god of light identified the river god. The time has come, the river god is about to awaken. The religious officials shouted, abandoning the church and gazing up at the starry sky. According to some rumors, that night the river god would fully awaken. Upon hearing this news, the 7 gods hastily consolidated a body using the power of belief, wanting to understand the origins of this river god. The 7 gods did not have physical bodies. They were made up of the power of belief. Wherever there was the power of belief, there were they. They were scattered all over the world, helping believers automatically with their power whenever believers performed their skills. As mentioned in the Light God Manual, the 7 gods were omnipresent, and it was not an exaggeration. The statues inside the church served as a point of amplification for the power of belief, helping them conveniently use the power of belief to grant skills to the believers. The 7 gods communicated through their spiritual sense. Their previous meetings, vomiting blood, fainting, all happened in the realm of spiritual sense, not in any concrete location. The 7 gods concealed their bodies and quietly observed the reactions of the crowd from a hidden spot. They could not change their appearance. If the believers believed they looked a certain way, they could only appear that way. From people's conversations, the 7 gods learned about the newly emerged river god. The river god sounded weak, but according to the legends, his origins were astonishing and he was terrifyingly powerful. I said that I was born from chaos as a story made up by me. Who would have thought that someone would follow my narrative and declare himself as the river god of the primordial chaotic river? The god of light expressed his astonishment as it seemed that he had met his match in bending the truth. The world tree is the same. The first sapling born from chaos, those are nothing but tall tales. Even so, it can't be denied that the wonders performed by the river god and the world tree are indeed real. The 7 gods knew that the other party truly had great abilities. Look, that night, countless people left their houses, gazing up at the night sky. The Milky Way was as dazzling and captivating as always, densely packed with stars containing countless knowledge and power, irresistibly fascinating. People wondered how the planets moved, whether the world was flat or spherical, who the center of the universe was it the air, a continent, or the sun? When people gaze into the vast night sky, these questions always come to mind. But tonight, no one had such mixed thoughts. In the Milky Way, it was as if a huge entity had fallen asleep. Countless stars broke away from their trajectory, forming the blurred silhouette of a person. With their minds and souls focused on the silhouette formed by stars, people forgot the passage of time. All abilities, all experiences, all statuses, became meaningless in that moment. Even those Tier 5 adventurers, the heroic team that had once slain ancient dragons and the 3-headed hell dog, compared to the massive entity in the Milky Way, they were trivial, no more significant than dust. The silhouette in the sky trembled slightly, as if about to awaken. The stars, in a way no one could understand, changed their orbits once more and clearly formed the shape of a human figure. In the people's eyes, the silhouette and the statue of the river god progressively overlapped. The world tree swayed its branches, celebrating the awakening of the river god, blessing all beings. Created from the stars, the river god arose from the Milky Way. Slowly rising, his every movement tugged at the people's hearts. At this moment, the numerous people wavering between the seven gods and the river god definitively chose to believe in the river god. People's faith in the river god peaked. The radiant star-formed river god fully awakened, his appearance consistent with the figure they normally attributed to the river god, only more monumental and divine, inviolable. With the Milky Way for a bed, he stretched lazily after waking up, a picture of utter comfort. He looked down at the seven gods with a teasing smile on his lips. I found you. The faces of the seven gods paled. Chapter 472, The Divine and Demon Races. Upon seeing the river god of the stars, the seven deities knew at once how terrifyingly powerful this sudden emergent was. They wanted to run, but how could they possibly escape in the presence of Zhongli? Why run? I'm not a bad guy, Zhongli chuckled as he casually draped his arms around the necks of the god of light and the god of wind, acting as if he was the eighth deity. This is the first time I've seen someone whose body is made of faith, Zhongli marveled. He had assumed that the seven deities were hiding somewhere secret. Instead, they were manifestations of faith, appearing wherever faith was present. Seeing that the seven deities were discovered, Li didn't need to disguise himself as the world tree anymore. He resumed his true form, causing a few deer tribe girls to scream. I told you guys, the uncle is the world tree. You didn't believe me, gloated one of the deer tribe girls. She had suspected from the beginning that the uncle was no ordinary being, he was far more than meets the eye. Connecting the uncle's disappearance to the appearance of the world tree was a bold move, yet she found it logical. Girls, we can chat later, Li waved, leaving behind a mysterious silhouette. With the arrival of Li the Gourd of Wishes, and Lance, the god of light finally asked the first question. Who are you guys, really? Oh, Lance can be left out. The Demon King, the Demon Clan's general, Zhongli bluntly labeled them. We are cultivators from other worlds. Other worlds? You're from the immortal realm. The same place as the Honggu messenger. The god of light's first thought was the immortal realm. So you guys know about the Honggu messenger. What did he tell you? Driven into a corner, the seven deities knew they were no match. They tried to dissolve and exit the scene numerous times, but they were all tightly controlled by Zhongli. Then Lan saw the seven gods of faith start to recount the real history. In a time far more ancient, gods and demons roamed the Eru world. The deity race was born strong. To strengthen further, they need faith. They did whatever it took to garner faith, frequently demonstrating miracles to prove their existence. But we have no right to judge them. As members of the same pantheon, we too stole followers with miracles. Born strong. What a unique race. This was the first time that Zhongli had heard of such a race. The demons varied in strength and appearance. The key difference between us and them is that demons can grow stronger without the power of faith. Because of the presence of the demons, three races hoped for our protection. This was good for our deity race. Sometimes we were really in combat with the demons. Other times it was a show to deceive regular people into giving us their faith. As the competition for faith heated up, some gods granted a fraction of their power to ordinary people to secure more faith. This was regarded as a god's favor by ordinary people, and some called it skills. The decision to grant power to ordinary people was extraordinarily effective. This god quickly attracted a large group of believers, making the other gods jealous. Seeing this, the other gods followed suit. In no time, a lot of ordinary people learned skills, and some even could fight against demons without the help of gods. Granting ordinary people skills surely attracted a group of followers in a short time. But as everyone could grant skills, the advantage was gone and gods were back to square one. The struggle over faith became fiercer until some gods couldn't take it anymore and attacked their own kind, which marked the beginning of the deity civil war. Everyone's aim was simple yet cruel. The best way to secure more faith was to reduce competition. With fewer gods, each individual would get more faith. With the deity civil war going on and an emerging genius in the demon race who slayed gods and demons alike indiscriminately, the demons began their own civil war. Both factions were fighting internally. It was inevitable that gods would accidentally kill demons and the other way around. That was the chaos era with ruthless killings everywhere. Not even the killers knew the races of their victims. The three races were the weakest and could only struggle to survive under these circumstances. In the end, all gods blindly killed each other, vying to be the ultimate god. At the end of the battle, only the seven of us remained. Then, you seven called a truce and shook hands. Li naturally assumed that happened. The god of light wore a painful expression. No, we did fight, and none of us survived. Li was shocked. Then you guys. After we died, our souls should have gone to hell. Only a piece or remnant of our souls cling to faith. Zhongli nodded lightly. The state of the 7 deities after death was similar to Dream Pure, only a piece of the soul remained. With the passing of time, soul fragments would become a whole soul. This process involved various coincidences and couldn't be induced deliberately. We are parasites of faith, relying on faith to survive. Whatever faith shapes us into, we can only become that. Back then, the 3 races exercised their imaginations. They called light the greatest, hence I am imagined as the god of light. The beastmen wanted to have their own god, thus they invented the beast god. The elven god was created the same way. The forms and identities of the gods of earth, wind, fire, and water are also imagined. After the forms and identities of us 7 were established, it implies that the faith of 3 races was all channeled to us. The 3 races were in a very bad state back then. All gods were killed, and the demon race still existed. We, in order to give the 3 races power to counter the demons, continued to grant them skills. The demon prodigy matured and became the demon king. He wanted to invade the 3 races. We 7 stepped in to retaliate, but our power was too scattered to stop the demon king. The god of light said, at that time, the other 6 suggested concentrating all faith into me. We barely drew the battle with the demon king. The god of light shuddered at the memory. The demon king was overpowering. He didn't want to engage in such a battle again. Lance couldn't help but glance at the gourd of wishes. The demon king, who had fought hard with the gods, was casually killed by the gourd. And Zhongli was obviously stronger than the gourd. Li then pointed out, instead of saying you guys fought the demon king, it's more like you let faith take tangible form to take on the demon king. The 7 deities did not deny Li's statement. The god of light continued, later, our soul fragments evolved into real souls, but we still couldn't leave faith. Just when we were wondering how to detach ourselves from faith and become independent entities, the Hongu messenger appeared. He said he had a way for us to break free from the control of faith. Chapter 473, Been Tricked. That person claimed to be the Hongu messenger, from the immortal realm. He knew the frost giant who ascended to the immortal realm. The frost giant saw that our infighting in the era world was so severe, and although he was irritated and wanted to help, he didn't want to lose face. So, he secretly asked the Hongu messenger to assist us. At first, we did not believe him, but when we saw how he effortlessly brought outsiders to the brink of death, we started to believe him, even if we didn't want to. The Hongu messenger mentioned that part of our souls had merged with the power of belief. To break free from the power of belief, he suggested a special method. He claimed that the person who ties the bell must untie it, meaning we need to harness the power of belief to free ourselves from it. We asserted that we could already control the power of belief quite well, but he retorted that our level of control was far from sufficient. He explained that the power of belief comes from followers, and controlling it is closely related to their faith. And to strengthen their faith, there was no better approach than creating an adversary. The threat posed by an enemy would naturally concentrate their faith on us. We thought he was referring to the Demon King, but he clarified that to the commoners, the Demon King was too terrifying. Our struggle against the Demon King was too desperate and failed to foster any sense of safety among the people. Zhongli understood. These 7 gods claimed they were evenly matched with the Demon King, but perhaps the light god suffered tremendous losses and thus completely lost the desire to inspire belief in others. Unlike the Ring universe, where martial arts was the main focus, the 12 heavenly kings held absolute dominion over belief, so even when they caused major catastrophes, the masses would still choose to believe in them. However, in the Era world, if the Demon King were to strike again, ordinary people might renounce their faith in the light god out of desperation and create forces akin to earthly veins. This would be a losing situation. The Hongu messenger then proposed that we create an opponent who is weaker than the Demon King but still poses a threat to the common people. He presented 4 treasures, a sword, a shield, a ring, and a crown, stating that anyone who equips these 4 items would become the most formidable entity in the body integration realm. We had no clue what the body integration realm was. The person equipped with these 4 items could be dubbed a hero. This hero would conquer the Demon King and become a true hero. At this time, the hero, controlled by the crown, would become an enemy of the world and bring about catastrophe. Ordinary people would then opt to believe in us, generating an enormous amount of belief power. A quantitative change would lead to a qualitative one, propelling the power of belief to a new level. We could then free ourselves from the constraints of the power of belief, undergo a transformation, and become free gods. When that time comes, we would triumph over the hero, remove their crown, and that would thoroughly solve the issue. That was the plan the Honggu messenger arranged for us. The light god confessed sincerely, showing no intention to lie. Zhang Li knew the Honggu messenger was lying. The claim that more belief power would transform into something new was sheer nonsense. He had concentrated all of Jojo's belief power into the bronze cauldron, but he had not observed any changes in the belief power. He had taken advantage of the gods' naivety and made them believe whatever he said. We asked, could the hero actually defeat the Demon King? The Honggu messenger said that he had already reached an agreement with the Demon King. The Demon King would not harm the three races anymore. When the hero arrived at the Demon King's city, the Demon King would feign defeat. At that time, he would reappear and ascend to the immortal realm with the Demon King. Did the Honggu messenger ever mention anything about the dungeon? He did. He said that the Demon King would not strike again but under one condition, that a dungeon be built for the demon race and the three races to fight. This solution would ease the Demon King's urge to slaughter. What about the dungeon's formation? What formation? Seeing this, Zhang Li asked another question. Now many young people are recklessly considering themselves heroes, and many have died in the dungeon. Are you aware of this? The light god nodded. We are aware. There was a period when the death rate exceeded the birth rate, resulting in negative population growth. We then issued a divine message, requesting the red-robed archbishop to find a solution, and so she established the adventurer system. Zhang Li sighed, looking at the seven gods as if they were fools. You were deceived. Belief power will not transform into something new. Furthermore, the hero is not someone that you can defeat. How can that be? The light god didn't believe Zhang Li's words. The Honggu messenger was so powerful, there was no reason for him to lie to them. Even if he did trick them, what could he gain from it? If you don't believe me, let Lance give it a try. Zhang Li tossed the last piece of equipment, the hero's crown, to Lance. Lance, put this on and then defeat the light god. Zhang Li chose the same wilderness where they had initially experimented with magic as the battlefield. How on earth could a hero defeat us? We bestow the skills of the hero. We can retrieve these skills at any time. A hero without skills is just like a tiger without teeth, posing no threat to us. The light god had a dismissive attitude towards the hero. Just give it a try. Zhang Li retreated to the side with a smile, watching the battle along with Li Er and the Rui Gourd. Upon wearing the hero's crown, Lance was startled to feel the crown firmly fixed on his head. His thoughts began to spiral out of control, becoming confused and full of the desire to slaughter. The cacophony gradually melded into a single sound. Kill, kill, kill. It sounded like the growl of millions of beings, and it felt as if a demon from hell was whispering in his ear. Lance, eyes turned crimson. With a shield in his left hand and a sword in his right, the ring supplied him with endless spiritual energy, and the crown bestowed him with the battle consciousness and murderous intent of an immortal. Brothers and sisters, lend me your power. The light god spread his arms. Drawing on the power of the other six gods' belief, he managed to ascend to the Transcendence Tribulation stage. This is probably the level of the monarch of the Great Yang dynasty with the support of his national fortune, Zhang Li commented. Among the 9 great dynasties, the Great Yang dynasty was currently the weakest, thus its national fortune was also the weakest, barely pushing the monarch to the verge of the Transcendence Tribulation stage. The national fortune of the other 8 dynasties was far more favorable than the Great Yang dynasty. Come to battle. The light god charged forward. He could tell that Lance, who was equipped with the hero's armor set, was only at the legendary level and was no match for him. To his surprise, Lance swung his sword, severing one of the light god's arms with a single chop. The light god's shield could not resist it at all. What? The light god was shocked and doubtful after reattaching his arm. He found that whenever he got close to Lance, the power of belief would be significantly weakened, dropping him to the legendary level. Despite his disbelief, the light god kept trying to engage Lance in combat. P greater than. It was not an illusion. There was a bizarre power surrounding Lance. It acted like a domain category of power that restrained the power of belief. The light god kept retreating. When he tried to defend, he was left covered in cuts and bruises by the hero's sword. When he attempted to attack, his moves were blocked by the hero's shield. When he opted to deplete Lance's power, the hero's ring provided replenishing energy. The light god was desperate and saw no hope of victory. In his battle against the light god, Lance relied on no skills at all. Chapter 474, Assimilation. The god of light had lived for thousands of years. His combat experience was obviously more plentiful than Lance, a young man in his 20s. Not to mention his proficiency in all skills. Experience and skills, these were key to winning against the strong. But still, the god of light was being defeated by lands, step by step. How can your combat experience be more plentiful than mine? Lance was controlled by the crown of the hero and was unable to speak, Sejong on the sidelines kindly answered for him. Because the crown of the hero stores the combat experience of an immortal. In terms of experience and perspective, you can't surpass an immortal. You seven are not familiar with formations, let me enlighten you. Each piece of the hero's equipment contains a small formation. When the hero wears the complete set, it forms a formation that weakens faith. Do you still think the Honggu messenger who gave you these equipments is a good person now? Zhang Li talked as if he was an expert in formations, but in actuality, these were all explained by Bai Hongtu. He was just regurgitating the information. Li Er and the Ruyi Gord pretended not to know, not exposing him. The god of light had to admit that they couldn't defeat Lands. Just when Lands was about to win, he stopped his attack. The god of light thought that Lands was being kind to not make him lose too badly. We admit defeat. The god of light conceded, unable to understand why the Honggu messenger deceived them. Zhang Li stepped forward, restrained Lands with claws and fangs, removed the crown. Lands sobered up in an instant and looked at the crown, trembling. The crown of the hero was too frightening. Obviously, in order to destroy Era World, the Honggu messenger had a backup plan. First, he went to the Demon King's side, using Ascension as the bait, persuading the Demon King not to act, utilizing the dungeon's formation, enhancing the innate abilities of the three tribes, ultimately letting children be born with world-shattering strength. Perhaps the Honggu messenger felt his plan was unreliable, hence he set another plan in place with the seven gods. When someone collects all the hero's equipment, they would want to slaughter the three tribes. The god of light, controlled by faith, had to fight. The hero is slightly stronger than the god of light, not by too much. Fierce battles between the two will result in heavy casualties. Lance stopped attacking not to spare you, but to take a few months off, choose another location and continue fighting with you. This way, death can be brought to other places. This cycle would repeat until the world is completely annihilated. The Honggu messenger did not design the crown of the hero to be always in combat mode, probably to avoid the creation of the heavenly Tao embryo amidst the despair of the people when the god of light is defeated. Therefore, the Honggu messenger controlled the hero well, a sense of despair, but not complete despair. Actually, both the Demon King and the seven gods knew that the Honggu messenger was an opportunistic man, but the Demon King was deceived by the Honggu messenger. To sever the causality, he couldn't leave the Demon King city. The seven gods were confined by the force of faith, unable to leave the coverage of faith. The demon tribe here had no church, the seven gods couldn't come here from the demon's side. As a result, the Demon King and the seven gods, the eight most ancient beings, never conversed. Zhang Li felt that the plan arranged by the Honggu messenger for the seven gods was somewhat crude. There were many uncertainties and it seemed like it had been slapped together in a hurry. Its importance was placed on the Demon King and the dungeon. So does that mean we will never be able to exist independently from the power of faith? The seven gods were in despair. They always thought that as long as the power of faith was abundant, it would transform and they could break free from the constraints of faith. To implement this, they composed the Light God Manual, erased the disgraceful history of the god tribe, highlighted the status of the seven gods, and required all believers to praise them whenever they used magic, thereby promoting faith. Their efforts for over 1,000 years ended up being useless. No, separating your soul from faith is easy. If you're willing, I can do it now. Zhang Li mastered the power of faith but he never used it. That being said, it did not mean that he did not study it. Thank you, River God. The seven gods were ecstatic, never expecting the joy would be so sudden. Stop calling me River God, I'm just rolling with it for a couple of days. My name is Zhang Li, and my real identity is Human Emperor of Jojo. Jojo, Human Emperor, Sect Master Li Er, you should give them a general knowledge lesson. Zhang Li didn't want to explain 10,000 realms over and over, so he asked Li Er to. After the soul separates from faith, it must find a body. Finding a suitable body is not easy, so Zhang Li took the liberty to create 7 bodies for them. The process was similar to the one when creating a body for Dream Pure. The only difference was that the materials used this time weren't as good as for Dream Pure. Dream Pure had the soul of a body integration realm peak cultivator and demanded a better body. But the seven gods had just reached the body integration realm, so the bodies they sculpted had the strength of early stage body integration realm. If better materials were used and the body is made too strong, it might make the seven gods feel uncomfortable. The 7 gods, now with their real bodies, they were thrilled beyond words. On one hand, they had broken free from the power of faith. On the other hand, they had learned just how vast the world outside of Era world truly was. They came to understand the division of ranks in cultivation and learned of Li Er's immense strength, and even Zhang Li, who was more powerful than Li Er. Even after you've reclaimed your independence, you are still the 7 gods of the 3 tribes' faith. You can still use the power of faith and bestow skills upon the 3 tribes. The god of light scratched his head. That's great. I've just gotten a new body and it feels weird. I keep wanting to return to the previous state and grant skills to my believers. The other 6 gods nodded in agreement, sharing the same feelings as the god of light. Zhang Li held his laughter. In fact, the 7 gods had already been assimilated by faith. The gods they are now are the perfect divine spirits nurtured by the 3 tribes' faith, definitely different from when they were part of the god tribe. Whether they parasitize faith or reclaim their independence from it, there's no fundamental difference. They thought they wanted to grant their believers skills out of goodwill, but in reality, it was the influence of faith. They were just not aware of it. Zhang Li had no intentions of telling them the truth. If you wish to communicate with Jojo, I will assign someone to handle it. If you don't wish to, that's fine too. Jojo doesn't demand it. After all, worlds need to maintain independence. It's up to individual choice. After Zhang Li finished speaking, he left the 7 gods who looked at each other helplessly and went to solve the problem of the dungeon's formation. The dungeon's formation was easy to solve. Destroying formations does not require technique, and Zhang Li was able to destroy it easily. With the hero's equipment taken away, Lance became the hero. The adventurers no longer harbored illusions of being the future hero, and there would be fewer who rushed in mindlessly. However, in essence, this was an issue of education. To thoroughly solve it, one would need to start with education, which is a long process. In the demon tribe, Rui Gord resigned and Li Er quit. The unicorn, as the strongest of the demon tribe, became the new demon king. Rui Gord and Li Er wanted to stay in the beast kingdom for a while longer, but Zhang Li rejected them mercilessly. Both the man and the gourd had to follow Zhang Li back to Jojo. Chapter 475, The First Siege Battle by Zhang Li. Before the appearance of the 7 gods, Zhang Li had already completed his task. The system's task was to get the approval of the 7 gods, to become the 8th god. But the 7 gods were controlled by the power of belief. As long as the majority of their followers believed in the existence of the river god, the power of belief generated by the believers would compel the 7 gods to acknowledge the river god's status. The most compelling proof was the system's task conclusion. Congratulations to the host for completing the task, becoming the 8th god recognized by all gods, the god of darkness. After learning how to use the power of belief in the Era world, once the soul returns to its original body, the strength of the host's soul would be equivalent to that in the Era world. Do you wish to settle the reward? What on earth is happening? Zhang Li recalled, the system originally intended to extract his soul and attach it to a hapless apprentice mage in the Era world. But since it couldn't extract his soul, it had to change the form of the task. It now seemed that although the form of the task had changed, the pre-written task conclusion remained the same. According to the task conclusion, the system intended for me to start as an apprentice mage, improve soul strength, and learn to use the power of belief after becoming the god of darkness. Whether it's improving soul strength or learning to use the power of belief, it would have been beneficial for Zhang Li 500 years ago. Settle the reward. What Zhang Li received was a small fragment of the celestial ascension ladder. Zhang Li arrived at the Dao sect and found the immortal elder. Seeing Zhang Li enter the cave mansion, Bai Hongtu secretly took out the remote communication talisman and said softly, "Attention, all sect dynasty members. The target has entered the ceiling self cave and is expected to have a conversation for half an hour. Tianyuan Emperor dynasty has received the news. Yu Yin, you are indeed very proactive in this regard. Great Zhou dynasty has received the news. The Great Wei dynasty has received the news. The Buddhist sect has received the news. The Body Incorporating sect has received the news. The 4-Sea Dragon Palace has received the news. Red Dust Pure Land is ready." Bai Hongtu continued, "Let me reiterate our goal before the battle. Break the human emperor's defense and make him bleed a drop of blood. Break the human emperor's defense and make him bleed a drop of blood. Break the human emperor's defense and make him bleed a drop of blood." The representatives of each force roar, full of war intent. Bai Hongtu took a deep breath, as if announcing a major event that would determine the fate of the 9 provinces. "I announce, the first siege on Zhang Li begins now. Frost Giant, I vaguely remember this name. The immortal elder, after listening to Zhang Li's story in the Era world, remembered an immortal he met in the immortal realm. I remember about 40 to 50,000 years ago, an immortal who called himself the Frost Giant ascended to the immortal realm. We had met a few times. We once sat together while listening to a heavenly immortal's Tao lecture. We discussed our own circumstances, and he said that before he ascended, he left behind 2 sons. One son inherited his godly nature and the other inherited his demonic nature. As soon as these 2 sons were born, they were at the body integration realm, and their cries could shatter mountains and cause the river to flow backward, bringing a disaster to the world. Fortunately, he was infinitely close to becoming an immortal at the time, so he was able to subdue his 2 sons, or else who knows what would have happened. He also regretted that while his 2 sons seemed powerful, their highest achievement in life would be reaching the transcendence tribulation stage. They would never have the hope of ascension. If these 2 sons had offspring, they would also be extremely powerful, born at the level of body integration realm. After receiving cultivation methods in the future, they would become the transcendence tribulation stage but could only stay at transcendence tribulation stage, unable to ascend. That is a bloodline's limitation, the heavenly Tao's limitation on races that are born strong. The gods and demons of the Era world should be the offspring of this frost giant. After listening to the heavenly immortals teaching together, we never met again. I don't know whether he became a heavenly immortal or is still at the earth immortal. At the time, the heavenly immortal was teaching about the knowledge of formations. It was his first time learning about formations, and he demonstrated a different talent, which got the attention of the heavenly immortal. Afterward, he followed that heavenly immortal to concentrate on cultivating. Ever since then, we haven't had any contact, and I don't know whether he became a heavenly immortal before the heavenly Tao developed spiritual intelligence or if he stayed as an earth immortal. Whichever result it is, it's not what I wanted to see. The immortal elder sighed, remembering the immortal, who could not even be considered an old acquaintance. He was not sighing for the frost giant, but for the entire immortal realm. As soon as Zhang Li left the immortal elder's sealing self cave, he was stopped at the entrance by a cheerful Bai Hongtu. Bai Hongtu thumbs up, revealing 2 rows of white teeth. The 9 provinces, spirit plant great formation is complete, do you want to test its effect? Zhang Li rarely saw Bai Hongtu in such a passionate state, and he always felt that this grandson had ulterior motives. How to test? Assume you are a heavenly immortal attacking 9 provinces, and I will block your attack as the controller of the spirit plant great formation. Oh, that's rather interesting. Zhang Li did not expect Bai Hongtu's efficiency to be so high. He had already set up the spirit plant great formation. It's all thanks to the good cooperation of all dynasties and sects. Bai Hongtu modestly said. In terms of the arrangement of the spirit plant's great formation, the spirit plant sect benefited the most. Previously, the spirit plant sect was barely considered a top-ranked strength, with 2 body integrators in the sect who practiced the tree cultivation decision. During the 9 provinces council meeting, the spirit plant sect intelligently seized the business opportunity and planted trees on a large scale, providing a constant supply of trees for the spirit plant great formation. After the spirit plant's great formation was completed, the gains of the spirit plant sect equaled several decades of profits of the Sky Mechanism Tower. The sect master of the spirit plant sect almost passed out from happiness and ended up eating 2 great restoration pills in succession. Now, the spirit plant sect was so wealthy that it could even eat 2 great restoration pills in a row. What's going on over there? When Zhang Li wanted to go to the universe, he found a bustling scene at a certain place in the Tao sect. Officials from the Mingzhong world and elders from the Tao sect were discussing something. Nothing much, let's hurry and leave. Breaking out in cold sweat, Bai Hongtu tried to pull Zhang Li away. Zhang Li moved forward and asked a Tao sect disciple, what is happening? Seeing the human emperor and the sect master coming together, the disciple was under great pressure, especially when he saw his sect master desperately winking at him. After thinking, he felt he should tell the human emperor the truth. In reply to the human emperor, we are discussing with the Mingzhong world about the agency sales of candy hawthorn. We want the Tao sect to become 9 provinces, sole candy hawthorn supplier. Really? Zhang Li coldly glanced at Bai Hongtu. Yes, our sect master said that there have not been large-scale orders between the 9 provinces, world and the Mingzhong world, and many forces are in a wait-and-see period. As one of the 6 major sects, the Tao sect should set an example and make outstanding contributions. Hence, the sect master chose the food most commonly seen by ordinary cultivators, candy hawthorn, as the first large-scale order. Bai Hongtu secretly praised this disciple for his high positioning and decided to promote him to a core disciple when the matter ended. Zhang Li sneered, as if I would believe these nonsense. Chapter 476. The Victory of the Heavenly Demon from Outside the Territory. Some sect disciples and imperial ministers noticed a hint of unspoken pride in the faces of the usually stoic sect master, Grand Elder, Supreme Elder, and Monarch. This pride was hard to describe, like the satisfaction and honor one feels after accomplishing something as a group. They looked up at the sky, at the two shadows on the horizon. Bai Hongtu stood within the protective formation of the 9 provinces, eyeing Zhang Li with hostility. Damn heavenly demon, daring to invade my 9 provinces world. Really, is it necessary to be this dramatic? Zhang Li was at a loss for words. Even if he was supposed to act the part, did he really need to start here? Shut up, don't try to buddy up with me. Bai Hongtu roared, his pupils blazing with fury. As the guardian of the 9 provinces, I am determined to protect the 9 provinces with my life. Isn't the guardian of the 9 provinces the human emperor? So, when did it fall to you? Bai Hongtu ignored him, completely immersed in the role he had created for himself. You have the audacity to call yourself the guardian of the 9 provinces. In the competition for the human emperor, I defeated Zhang Li and Yu Yin to become the 72nd human emperor. Of course, I'm the guardian of the 9 provinces. Zhang Li felt that Bai Hongtu was inserting some personal sentiment into the situation. Since Bai Hongtu was acting with such sincerity, Zhang Li had no choice but to follow suit. A cruel smirk formed at the corner of Zhang Li's mouth. As an external heavenly demon invading the 10,000 realms, the 9 provinces world is nothing more than a small stumbling block for me. If you know what's good for you, you'd better leave quickly. I can spare your life, but if you remain obstinate, be prepared to die with the 9 provinces world. As Zhang Li spoke, he emitted a chilling aura and an atmosphere akin to fields of corpses and seas of blood, corroding the protective formation of the 9 provinces, causing it to emit hissing noises. The sky desolate halberd, serving as the core of 9 provinces world's protective formation, was completely bewildered by the two's convincing act. Did I miss something? Enough talk, fight. Bai Hongtu activated the spirit plant great formation of the 9 provinces. Centered around the peach tree from the pure land of red dust, countless spirit trees and spirit grasses emitted faint gleams of light, forming into a beautiful, otherworldly maze-like formation. If anyone were to observe the back of the continent, they would find that the seaweed from the 4 seas also glowed, becoming a part of the great formation. The intricacy, complexity, and the amount of calculations involved in the formation far surpassed that of the protective formation of the 9 provinces. It was unknown how much effort Bai Hongtu had put into it. This was the most complex and most powerful formation that Zhang Li had seen in the past 500 years. The formation that Honggu Messenger had set up in the Era world couldn't be compared to this at all. Countless experts at the body integration realm, as well as Yu Yin, Li Er and Sword Monarch, these transcendence tribulation stage experts, placed their hands on a nearby spirit plant to infuse the formation with new energy. Commander Lu pondered for a moment, then decided to contribute some of his power. As a spirit of the willow tree, his power was very compatible with the spirit plant formation, and the energy he infused into the formation experienced little loss. I'm only doing this to test the strength of the spirit plant formation. I don't have any other motives. Commander Lu muttered to himself, convinced that Zhang Li would understand. The power of Bai Hongtu climbed rapidly, reaching a certain threshold in no time. This power is stronger than Cheng Kun Xian, it should be at the heavenly immortal level. Bai Hongtu estimated his own power. Upon fighting Bai Hongtu, Zhang Li found that Bai Hongtu's power was stronger than Cheng Kun Xian but weaker than the Red Dust Immortal, probably at the level of an ordinary heavenly immortal. Zhang Li didn't bully Bai Hongtu and suppressed his own power to match Bai Hongtu's level. Although this was practice, the grandeur of their battle could cause panic among the cultivators of the 9 provinces. Therefore, both of them tore through space and jumped to fight on the edge of the universe. Bai Hongtu pointed at the stars, and they shifted positions and changed their trajectory to form the Big Dipper. The wolf and war god constellations erupted with endless intentions to kill. Great divine power changing stars and moving dipper. The killing intent was chilling, forming a scythe that seized lives. This divine skill didn't target the body but the spirit platform. Yang spirit leapt from Zhang Li's forehead, blocking the scythe formed by the killing intent with both hands. Then, with a turn of his force, he cast the scythe toward the stars, breaking the formation of the Big Dipper. Yin and Yang energies appeared in Zhang Li's palm, they changed into 5 elements, and the 5 elements changed into everything. The yin and yang energies roamed around, and while creating everything, they would also destroy everything. Bai Hongtu was trapped in the middle of the yin and yang energies. The yin energy attacked his soul, and the yang energy attacked his body. The strikingly different auras almost tore his soul apart. Bai Hongtu formed two different seals with his hands, calling out the sun and moon, using the yang energy from the sun to neutralize the yin energy and the yin energy in the moon to neutralize the yang energy. Great divine power calling forth the sun and moon. This divine skill doesn't really call upon the sun and the moon, but instead uses them as a lead to call out the yin and yang they represent. Before the red dust immortal, no one in the 9 provinces knew how to use the Tao of yin and yang, so the Tao ancestor of the 9 provinces created this divine skill to approximate the Tao of yin and yang in the form of a divine skill. They both fought using martial Tao, with moves so exquisite that one couldn't take their eyes off of. The splendid thing was that both could predict each other's moves and respond in advance. This divine skill is called budding, and it's able to sense what's about to happen. Unlike the absolute accuracy of the Tao of time, the divine skill, budding, provides several possibilities, only one of which is the future. The two were old rivals and could easily select the real future from several possibilities. Bang! Zhang Li hit Bai Hongtu's chest, causing him to start turning to stone from the chest outwards. The petrification process was incredibly fast. Bai Hongtu's fingers flashed with 5 colored lights. He touched his body, and the petrification disappeared. 5-colored divine light, capable of eradicating divine skills. Yuan Wuxing, who painstakingly learned the beginner-level 5-colored divine light, was barely a blip in the battle between these two. His divine skill was just a minor exchange of divine skills in the heat of the battle. Zhang Li, having studied in the Tao sect, had also transcended it. He claimed to have incidentally learned a few divine skills from the Taoist scripture library, but in reality, he had learned all the divine skills there. Zhang Li took 3 breaths, spewing out the 3 calamities of fire, water, and wind mentioned in Buddhist scriptures. 7 rounds of the sun appeared, burning the spiritual energy within Bai Hongtu's body. Black turtle dirty water dripped into the center of his forehead, tainting his spirit platform and causing his eyes to black out. The colorless gangwind invaded his 7 orifices, hurting his spirit and body, and threatening to blow up Bai Hongtu's yang spirit and internal organs. Bai Hongtu, unwilling to be outdone, summoned heavenly dew to extinguish the 7 suns and silently recited the Bodhi Heart Sutra to purify his spirit platform. The body is a Bodhi tree, the heart a bright mirror stand. The mirror is originally clear and clean, where could it be stained by dust? Using Sword Tao, Bai Hongtu severed the colorless gangwind and ingested the Great Recovery Pill to repair his yang spirit and body. The two continually executed and dismantled each other's moves, and various divine skills and Tao techniques that had been lost in the 9 provinces for a long time frequently reappeared in their battle. Bai Hongtu started to show signs of fatigue. Knowing that he was no match for Zhang Li, he roared, "The 9 provinces lie behind me, and there is no way out. I can't lose. Damned extraterritorial heavenly demon, even if I have to burn myself out, I won't let you advance one step further. Enough already, don't get so into the act." Zhang Li used his finger as a sword and executed Heart Sword, chopping Bai Hongtu down to the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Eventually, Bai Hongtu was defeated by Zhang Li and fell in bitter defeat. Zhang Li brought Bai Hongtu, who was like a beaten dog, back to the 9 provinces. Chapter 477, Even Dreaming is Illegal. The leaders of the major forces were anxious, not daring to rush over to see the battle results. They strained their eyes, observing the injuries of the two. Can someone with good eyesight help to see? Zhang Li the human emperor seems to be covered in blood, have we succeeded? That seems to be Bai Hongtu's blood, Zhang Li hasn't lost even a single strand of hair. Within the remote communication talisman, everyone was engrossed in a heated discussion, eager to obtain first-hand information. Indeed, a drop of blood from the human emperor contains infinite energy, this does not seem like the emperor's blood. I say, does no one care about White Master who was dragged back? Master Wu Ji is truly compassionate. However, facing Zhang the human emperor in battle, I expect that sect master Bai Hongtu has already prepared himself for a beating. Master Wu Ji, don't worry. In the final test of the human emperor candidacy, the intensity of the battle between Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu was far more severe than this. Compared to that time, Bai Hongtu's injuries now are but minor ones. If Queen Yuyan says so, then there's no need to worry about Bai Hongtu. Gigi, did you already foresee the outcome? Of course. Then why are you still providing energy so enthusiastically? Isn't watching Bai Hongtu getting beaten up one more time profitable? Indeed, it makes sense. When Bai Hongtu gradually came to senses, he recalled himself fighting the heavenly demon from outside the domain and returning defeated. He couldn't help shedding tears and sobbing uncontrollably. Everyone, I have let you down. Zhang Li's voice rang out beside him. Your sacrifice was not in vain. To honor your contribution, everyone unanimously decided to rename the Dao sect to the Morning Sect. Get lost. Bai Hongtu was so mad at Zhang Li that he sprang up like a wounded tiger. The effect of the spirit plant array really took me by surprise. It actually managed to boost the Transcendence Tribulation stage up to the heavenly immortal level. Yet, it still couldn't break your defense. Bai Hongtu said, dispirited. It couldn't be helped. Even though I adjusted my power to match yours, my physical strength remained unchanged, and it couldn't be changed. Zhang Li's battle talent ranked first in the 9 continents, slightly better than Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin, but only by a slight bit. When they were all candidates for the Human Emperor, Zhang Li had several real fights with Yu Yin and Bai Hongtu, and got to know them well, fully aware of their rare battle skills. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu were the last 2 candidates for the Human Emperor. Zhang Li still can't forget the process of their battle for the position of the Human Emperor. Yu Yin didn't make it till the end. It wasn't that her ability was inferior to Bai Hongtu, but that she had pre-calculated all possible outcomes of the battle with Zhang Li in advance and found that there was no way she could win, which led her to give up the fight for the position of Human Emperor. Bai Hongtu also did the calculations, and came up with the same conclusion, but he was determined to have a fight with Zhang Li, being stubborn as he was. The result was exactly as calculated. He was no match for Zhang Li. This time the power of the spirit plant array was not exerted to its limit. An immortal artifact can also be added to the spirit array. When that happens, even if a few heavenly immortals come, I would stand some winning chances. Right now, half of the immortal artifacts are exploring unknown worlds and can't be used for the demonstration. Let's leave it until next time. I just finished exploring an unknown world with Lier and the Gourd. If we are lucky, the Great Confucian Word Post, Heshan Stone and the 4 Seas Dragon Balls would soon be done. In that case, I'm relieved. Bai Hongtu nodded, remained silent for a while, and then asked, when can you let me down? When Bai Hongtu woke up, he discovered that he wasn't lying in bed, but was hanged on a tree by Zhang Li with a rope, surrounded by disciples and elders pointing and discussing. Bai Hongtu really wanted to ignore them all, regardless of how strong-willed he was. It was impossible. While you were fighting just now, you developed a hysteria, claiming that you defeated me and Yu Yin and became the 72nd Human Emperor. I thought you might have a brain ischemia causing hallucinations, so I hanged you on a tree to improve your brain's blood circulation. There's no need to thank me for my thoughtfulness. Grinding his teeth, Bai Hongtu said, thank you. I'm sober now, can you let me down? Bai Hongtu didn't want to hang on the tree like a dead pig anymore. Of course you can. Zhang Li cut the rope. Everyone disperse, there's nothing to see here. To save some face for Bai Hongtu, Zhang Li drove everyone away. Bai Hongtu was quite moved by this gesture. Even though it was him who called everyone over in the first place. Hall Master, there might be a matter needing your decision. Commander Lu contacted Zhang Li in a relaxed manner. What is it? A moment ago, Emperor Zhou contacted me, saying there are quite a few female cultivators in Dazhou having dreams, and Dazhou wishes to regulate it. They asked whether or not the Imperial Palace will be in charge. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu were both curious, why this matter of dreaming falls onto the Imperial Palace. Commander Lu looked around, seeing that in the large main hall of the Imperial Palace there was only him and no guard to report to. He felt relieved. Lowering his voice, he said, they're having erotic dreams and the male lead was you. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Zhang Li felt more enlightened by this occurrence than by witnessing the spirit plant array. Bai Hongtu also felt that he had lost. You ought to know that some cultivators cultivate the dream path, either for fighting or making money. Indeed, I knew about that. However, I didn't have much interaction with the latter. Zhang Li, during his candidacy for the Human Emperor, had met with several cultivators of the dream path. They fought in dreams, and Zhang Li, by smartly using various tactics, won several times. Injury in dream battles can reflect on the body. For example, the first emperor took several thunder strikes from Zhang Li in the dream, and the real him got injured because of it. The more serious situation being, death in dreams directly caused real-life death. Cultivators who don't understand the dream path often find it mysterious. In order to cultivate, one often earns spirit stones and other cultivation resources using their adept techniques. For example, an alchemist earns money by selling pills, an artifact refiner earns money by selling spiritual treasures, and a dream path cultivator earns money by selling dreams. Cultivators of the dream path can customize dreams according to customer needs. The freedom of dreams is quite high. It has always been a gray industry and Dazhou found it inconvenient to manage. As a result, the customized dreams became more and more liberal, until recently, a certain case involved several dream path cultivators. According to their confessions, a large number of female cultivators are seeking dream path cultivators to customize dreams involving intimacy with Zhongli. The steamy level of the intimacy had reached a not suitable for children level. If it was in the previous life, no one would care about what kind of dreams you have, but this was a cultivation world, where dreams can be customized. Dreams are like writing a novel, they can be healthy or unhealthy. Dreams involving Zhongli naturally fell into the unhealthy category, requiring regulation. When Gigi got the message, after pondering for a while, he felt that the matter was a bit tricky and better to be dealt with by the imperial palace. He didn't believe such things only happened in Dazhou, it must have occurred in other countries as well. Zhongli always felt that his strength was adequate, but his experiences were too limited, and he always encountered unexpected situations. If there were levels in the imaginations of the cultivators in the 9 continents, he would rate them a Mahayana-level imagination. Chapter 478. The Whereabouts of Dream Pure. Captain Liu, what are your thoughts? As a competent captain, Captain Liu intended to present a well-thought-out scheme. I suggest finding a cultivator who is successful in the dream path to inspect all dreams and monitor those across the 9 provinces who dream about you, Hall Master. Zhongli volunteered. Actually, I'm adept at the dream path. I can enter people's dreams. When Zhongli had learned the dream path from Dream Pure, he had traversed others' dreams and ultimately met the first emperor. Captain Liu, I am glad that you, Hall Master, are considering doing this personally. If you would be willing to check all the female cultivators' dreams every night, I'd be more than happy. Zhongli felt that this matter should be left to those capable of doing it. Bai Hongtu chuckled in amusement at the side. The dreams the female cultivators are having are about you. It's hard to say whether you entering their dreams would be a good or a bad thing for them. Alright, you two have thought this through more than me. Zhongli admitted that he had been impulsive in showing off his knowledge of the dream path. After considering Liu's solution, he found some holes in it. Dreams are private matters. If the imperial palace were to monitor the dreams of all 9 provinces, those with other types of dreams will inevitably feel alienated, feeling that the imperial palace does not respect them. Then, according to Hall Master's opinion, Captain Liu admitted his oversight. We need to find a method to filter through these dreams, only looking at the ones about me. Only the ones where I am undressed, clothed ones can be left out. Zhongli wanted to afford the cultivators as much freedom as possible. You can rest assured about that. As per Emperor Zhou's words, almost 90% of the dreams about you involve you being unclothed. Quote. Zhongli suddenly wondered, could there be pornographic novels about him being sold in the market? No, he couldn't think about this, he would pretend it didn't exist. This requires someone with a very strong dream path skill. Currently, Dream Pure should be the best. I'll go find her. Zhongli remembered parting ways with Dream Pure in the Great Zhou dynasty. Considering the jolly nature of Little Zhou and Dream Pure's playful tendencies, she should still be there, perhaps for several more decades. I'll go with you. Bai Hongtu volunteered. Zhongli gave Bai Hongtu a sideways glance, suspecting that he thought hanging from a tree earlier was embarrassing, and now he wanted to go out and play a little. Not emotionally resilient. When Zhongli and Bai Hongtu found Gigi, they discovered that he was writing answers about the Tao of Time. Why are you writing such stuff? Zhongli curiously perused the pages. Recently, I have gained a few more junior generation family members. Their aptitude for the Tao of Time is quite average, far from mine or Kong Kong's level. They are encountering some problems in the Tao of Time and are seeking my help. Being the emperor of the Great Zhou dynasty and managing the state wasn't the only role of Gigi's. He was also the master of the Ji family and managed the royal relatives and nobles. The first question Zhongli saw was, why can a man with 0 talent in the Tao of Time move freely in the river of time? Gigi replied, this is a reckless behavior, don't delve too deep into it. Good children should not learn from such people. Zhongli returned the question book to Gigi with a smirking face. Only then did Gigi remember the outrageous answer he had written in his answer book. Bai Hongtu also looked at Gigi with a smirk, ready for action. I wonder if little G remembers what he just said in the remote communication talisman. Gigi had been a candidate for the human emperor and had a brotherly relationship with Bai Hongtu, so it was natural that he had immediately told Bai Hongtu about Zhongli impersonating a Dao sect traveler. Gigi regretted not using the repeated pupil to see the future after he was tracked down by the 2 executioners. He quickly changed the topic. You came to me because of the issue with dreams, right? Just tell me if there is anything I can help you with. Only then did Zhongli explain his intentions. So, you're looking for this Dream Pure, a body integration realm cultivator. I do remember this name. A few months ago, a local official reported her case to me, requesting that she be accepted as a citizen of the Great Zhou. The local official in charge of the case was accordingly rewarded, some were promoted while others received a pay raise. An integration realm cultivator joining the Great Zhou was considered a big event that would be reported to GG. I'll have the household department official look into her whereabouts. The household department official worked very efficiently and quickly came up with an answer. Dream Pure registered her information in a city on the edge of Great Zhou and then traveled throughout the territory of Great Zhou. You know, the areas she visited are quite similar to the places you traveled to when you were in Great Zhou. GG was amused. Zhongli was from Great Zhou. He had left his hometown, Qingcheng, traveled and studied across Great Zhou before finally leaving. Of all the places in Great Zhou, Zhongli had spent the longest time at the Great Zhou Dynasty Royal Academy. She is currently in Shan'an City and has not left yet. Shan'an City, as the name suggested, was a place suited for relaxation. Zhongli had passed this place about 500 years ago. At that time, Zhongli and his group were cultivating and had no intention to relax, so they left quickly. Now, Zhongli, as the human emperor, wanted to relax, but these cultivators from the 9 provinces were causing so much trouble, and he had no time to relax. Maybe Dream Pure likes it here and has decided to settle down. Of all the places in her journey, Dream Pure had stayed in Shan'an City the longest. Unexpectedly, I could come back here. The overall atmosphere of Shan'an City had a laid-back feel to it. Zhongli stretched lazily and strolled into the city. Looking for Dream Pure was not in a hurry. Zhongli and Bai Hongtu strolled leisurely through the city, found a century-old noodle shop and dined there. For the two, who were over 500 years old, a century-old noodle shop made no difference compared to a newly opened one. In the 9 provinces, one could often see century-old or even a millennium-old businesses, and even some cases where the original owners still operated the businesses. The noodle shop was bustling with customers. Zhongli and Bai Hongtu joined a table with other diners and enjoyed their noodles while chatting with them. Does our Shan'an City have any powerful practitioners of the Dream Path? Bai Hongtu asked naturally. I guess this young man also came here because of the reputation. The diner saw Bai Hongtu order the tastiest noodles and believed him to be a gastronomic connoisseur, thus becoming friendlier. Our Shan'an City has a sect called the Food Color Dream Sect which specializes in cultivating the Dream Path. On the surface, the Food Color Dream Sect doesn't involve itself in mundane matters and focuses only on its cultivation, but in actuality, they provide special services. What kind of services? Since the young man mentioned the Dream Path, you should know that the attitude of Great Zhou towards Dream Path cultivators is rather ambiguous. They didn't say that these cultivators couldn't use the Dream Path to make money, but they didn't say it was okay either. The Food Color Dream Sect provides custom dream services, but they don't have a business license and they don't pay taxes. How strong is this sect? I've heard that a body integration realm cultivator is temporarily staying at the Food Color Dream Sect. Now, many cultivators are rushing over because of this rumor. Zhongli and Bai Hongtu exchanged a glance. It seemed they had found the right place. Guided by the directions given by the diner, the two found the Food Color Dream Sect. At the entrance of the sect, Zhongli saw someone familiar and walked up, tapping the person on the shoulder. Pure Heart, why are you here? Pure Heart, like a startled kitten, jolted. Chapter 479, Daydreaming. Zhongli did not expect to encounter the Pure Heart Saintly Woman here, and likewise for the Pure Heart Saintly Woman did not expect to meet Zhongli. If they had happened to bump into each other elsewhere, the Pure Heart Saintly Woman would be very happy. However, at the entrance of the Food Color Dream Sect, such a vast land in this 9 provinces world, why would they just happen to meet here? The Pure Heart Saintly Woman suddenly felt that the world got smaller. What are you doing here? The Pure Heart Saintly Woman took the initiative to ask the first question. I heard there's a body integration realm cultivator practicing the Dream Path here, who should be someone we know, so we came to visit. Zhongli, who always acted with a clear conscience, answered honestly. How about you? Zhongli asked. The Pure Heart Saintly Woman found out that taking the initiative provided her with no advantage. I've been facing some problems in my practice recently, and it's inconvenient to put it into practice, so I thought I might simulate it in a dream. I heard that there's a body integration realm cultivator here, so I thought I might give it a try. Of course, the Pure Heart Saintly Woman could not say that the reason she came here was to dream of Zhongli undressing. Bai Hongtu looked at the Pure Heart Saintly Woman with an odd look, Could this unlucky girl be thinking about connecting with Zhongli? The Food Color Dream sect is widely known for specific fields. Are you here to join the sect, or to dream? The outer sect elder asked. The question sounded weird, but after a moment, it seemed quite reasonable. Many people have recently been wanting to join the Food Color Dream sect. Is there a cultivator named Dream Pure here? We're looking for her. Tell her Zhongli has something to discuss. Those who want to see Elder Dream are all related to the human emperor, they have to line up. Next, the outer sect elder pointed to a long line of people waiting. See that? All those people are waiting to see Elder Dream. I am Zhongli. The outer sect elder waved him off. Don't try to pull a fast one on me. Everyone who comes here to dream hides their identities, but you're the first one to pretend to be the human emperor. The outer sect elder glanced at Bai Hongtu. And you are interesting too, impersonating Bai Hongtu. Having compared Zhongli and Bai Hongtu, the outer sect elder nodded. Indeed, sect master Bai Hongtu is much more handsome than the human emperor. You have a good eye. Bai Hongtu's spirit lifted upon hearing this compliment, relieving the discomfort caused by Zhongli's rapid departure. Since the pure heart saintly woman rarely goes out, her face is not widely known, otherwise, the outer sect elder would have thought she was pretending to be the pure heart saintly woman as well. The outer sect elder lowered his voice and said, our sect's manager said that recently, the Great Zhou dynasty has been strictly investigating dream path cultivators. The officials from the Great Zhou dynasty frequently bring search warrants into the sects where cultivators practice the dream path. Some guests who were scared awake disguised themselves as others and escaped successfully, while those who didn't disguise themselves were caught and sent back, facing a heavy spirit stone penalty. The two of you disguising yourselves beforehand, indeed shows your experience. If you want to see Elder Dream, you can enter the dreams woven by the inner sect disciples, and if you're not satisfied, Elder Dream can personally craft the dream for you. When practicing the dream path, you need to weave different dreams. The Food Color Dream sect allows the inner sect disciples to serve customers outside. This way, they can practice the dream path and earn spirit stones. We'll give it a try. Zhongli played the host, so Bai Hongtu and Pure Heart Saintly Woman did not have to pay. The three of them were brought to 3 small rooms, lit with incense, and upon following the inner sect disciples' guidance, entered the dream. Sir, what kind of dream would you like to have? The inner sect disciple asked Bai Hongtu. Can I dream of becoming the human emperor, punching Zhongli, and stepping on Zhongli? The inner sect disciple was not pleased. Zhongli was her idol. Even if he were a customer, he could not dream of doing so. You can become the human emperor, but you can't bully the human emperor. That works too. Bai Hongtu did not complain too much about the dream. Bai Hongtu's request for the inner sect disciple was a big one. Dreaming of being the human emperor meant that the dream needed to encompass the whole 9 provinces world. It took a good half day for the inner sect disciple to perfect the dream, and she invited Bai Hongtu in. When Bai Hongtu opened his eyes, he found himself sitting at a round table, presiding over a 9 provinces world conference. Human Emperor Bai, how should we handle this matter? The East Sea Dragon King asked Bai Hongtu for a solution. What's the matter? Bai Hongtu was thrilled to hear someone calling him the Human Emperor Bai. It felt just about as good as defeating Zhongli. A monkey stole the tide-stabilizing divine iron needle from my dragon palace. We'd like Human Emperor Bai to uphold justice. No problem, I'll talk to the monkey after the meeting. Any other issues? Human Emperor Bai, we hope that the Union sect will set up branches in our Great Wei dynasty and the Dream dynasty. Why does this question sound so familiar? The leaders of various major forces respected Bai Hongtu and treated him as their pillar. In terms of problem solving, Bai Hongtu was in no way inferior to Zhongli. He systematically solved all kinds of problems, and people praised him secretly. He deserves to be Human Emperor Bai, he is truly remarkable. Where is Zhongli? After solving all the problems, Bai Hongtu started to show his pride and wanted to see where Zhongli was. I'm here. Zhongli's lazy voice sounded. He was right on Bai Hongtu's left. Of course Bai Hongtu could find Zhongli, he just wanted to ask to emphasize his own position. May I ask where Brother Zhong is? Human Emperor Bai really forgets things easily. Once you became the Human Emperor, I took on the position of Sect Master of the Tao sect. We agreed upon this in the presence of the previous Human Emperor. Haha, I've been very busy lately and I forgot about it. Bai Hongtu slapped his forehead. Right, what did you just call me? Human Emperor Bai, can you repeat it a few more times? Bai Hongtu asked earnestly. Sect Master Zhongli rolled his eyes and didn't pay any heed to Bai Hongtu, who was acting eccentric. I've been having some memory issues recently. Can anyone tell me about my past deeds? In response to Human Emperor Bai's question, you defeated Sect Master Zhang Li in the Human Emperor's candidacy and became the sole candidate for the Human Emperor. Afterwards, the previous Human Emperor retreated, and you became the new Human Emperor. Under your governance, the 9 provinces world is thriving and prosperous. You set an example to regulate the behavior of the strong, greatly reducing the bullying of the weak in the 9 provinces. Just when Bai Hongtu was enjoying the conversation on his own, a terrifying presence suddenly appeared. It's the heavenly demon from outside the domain. Bai Hongtu stood up abruptly, he was all too familiar with this presence. Bai Hongtu flew out of the imperial palace and saw a fierce heavenly demon wreaking havoc on the 9 provinces. With a single thought, he invoked the power of faith from the land vein to boost himself up and reach the threshold of the earth immortal realm. Bai Hongtu and the heavenly demon fought a fierce battle, turning the day into night and causing stars to explode, but he still could not win. Just when Bai Hongtu was at his wit's end and wanted to die together with the heavenly demon, Zhang Li made a move and easily crushed the heavenly demon to death. Zhang Li showed a mysterious smile. Bai Hongtu was stunned. Wait, why is he still stronger than me, the Human Emperor, even in a dream? The dream crumbled and the inner sect disciple appeared and explained rationally, Sir, you only said you wanted to be the Human Emperor, you didn't say to downgrade the level of the Human Emperor Zhang. So, Zhang Li is still in the Mahayana realm. Damn it, refund. Bai Hongtu was furious. Chapter 480. The Dream of the Pure Heart Saintess. What kind of dream would you like to have, madam? An inner sect female disciple asked the Saintess Pure Heart. Saintess Pure Heart revealed her true appearance, and she's so pretty she made the inner sect female disciple's heart flutter. Could I have a dream related to Zhang Li? Saintess Pure Heart asked shyly, blushing as she mentioned Zhang Li, even in her dreams. Of course, our sect often constructs such dreams. Would you like a dressed or undressed version? After a moment of hesitation, Saintess Pure Heart decided to follow her heart, the undressed one. The inner sect disciple took out a menu-like item that had Zhang Li's dream top secret written on the cover. As soon as the Saintess Pure Heart flipped open the menu, she knew this was definitely a forbidden item. It was kind of exciting. As you can see, we offer 58 categories of dreams related to Zhang Li, the Human Emperor. Each category has several subcategories, the female disciple explained. You could choose from a typical romantic dream with Zhang Li. The paper showed a picture of Zhang Li entwined with a female cultivator, a Taitasi who wore fewer clothes. If you choose this, you can also select Zhang Li's pose. Feel free to choose any. I have learned a lot at Union Sect, so I can have him strike various poses. Saintess Pure Heart was tempted. No wonder this was the most famous dream-making sect in Zhang Li's circle. Visiting once was well worth it. Let me see what else you have. We also have a red bridal gown version, which many female cultivators love. On the piece of paper, a woman was underneath a red veil, and Zhang Li was a bridegroom dressed in a bright red robe, slowly lifting the woman's veil, which was so tantalizing it was hard to look away. Once the veil was removed, it was time for the couple to do the things that couples do. Saintess Pure Heart naturally put herself into the scene. But wouldn't this mean that many female cultivators were already married to Zhang Li in their dreams? Saintess Pure Heart felt a little jealous. Can I see another one? This one, the one where you sacrifice everything to save a beauty. You are a woman demon who has been forced by the world into becoming a demoness. Zhang Li is the brilliant leader of righteousness. The two of you fall in love without knowing each other's identities. When the righteous forces surround you and rip away your veil, revealing your appearance, Zhang Li finally realizes that the enchanting woman he can't forget is indeed you. Against his usual character, he betrays the righteous side and saves you in front of everyone. You two fly to an uninhabited place. The eyes meet fire. Stop, stop, stop. I definitely won't choose this one. Saintess Pure Heart immediately shook her head. She would never become a demon, no matter how tough things got, and Zhang Li would never abandon righteousness. This dream was built on a completely opposite premise from reality. So what kind of dream would you like? The inner sect disciple impatiently asked, exasperated. There were just too many dreams involving Zhang Li. At this rate, they could talk until the dream was over and still not cover all the possibilities. Saintess Pure Heart then described in detail the dream she wished for. The inner sect disciple's eyes lit up as she admired the creativity of this dream. After her shift, she decided to have a dream with Zhang Li, just as Saintess Pure Heart had described. I'm so hungry. My senior sisters always bully me. One winter day, a 10-year-old Saintess Pure Heart was hiding in the woodshed, nibbling on a piece of steamed bread. Saintess Pure Heart was an orphan picked up by the master of the Sky Sound sect. Her senior sisters didn't like this slow-witted girl and bullied her whenever they could. After the master died, they simply threw her into the woodshed and wouldn't let her eat to her fill. Suddenly, a man fell from the sky and crashed through the woodshed, landing in front of Saintess Pureheart. With her wide, innocent eyes and a small wooden stick in her hand, Saintess Pureheart poked the man's face. The man suffered severe injuries, but they weren't fatal. He groaned, "Water, I need water." Saintess Pureheart gave the man some water. After drinking the water, the man managed to sit up, leaning against the wall, and gestured at Saintess Pureheart to be quiet. "Little girl, I'm not a bad person. If those guys find out that I'm injured like this, they'll make fun of me for a long time. Can I stay here until I recover before leaving?" For some reason, Saintess Pureheart felt that this man was trustworthy, so she nodded vigorously. "My name is Zhang Li, what's your name?" "My name is Pureheart. I am a disciple of the Sky Sound sect. I see your cultivation skills are not the orthodox ones of the Sky Sound sect." As she didn't usually get to talk to anyone, upon hearing the injured man's question, Saintess Pureheart tearfully recounted her experiences at the Sky Sound sect. Feeling pity for this little girl, Zhang Li taught her some other cultivation techniques. Almost nobody came to the place where Saintess Pureheart lived, so she was able to take care of Zhang Li soon, while Zhang Li taught her more about cultivation. The days passed quickly. Before they knew it, half a month had passed. Having recovered from his injuries, Zhang Li left behind a token for Saintess Pureheart before disappearing. Using the cultivation technique that Zhang Li had taught her, Saintess Pureheart stole the limelight at the Sky Sound sect's competition. Another half-month passed, and Zhang Li appeared again to congratulate Saintess Pureheart on becoming the top outer sect disciple. From then on, Zhang Li appeared every night to continue teaching Saintess Pureheart. Time passed, and Saintess Pureheart gradually rose through the ranks to become an inner sect disciple, a core disciple, the #1 senior sister in the Sky Sound sect, and the #1 in her generation among the surrounding sects. By the time Saintess Pureheart turned 16, she realized that staying at the Sky Sound sect would no longer benefit her development. She decided to travel the world. During her journey, she encountered many dangers, all of which she managed to overcome. What she did not know is that Zhang Li was always around, protecting her from these dangers. Like a bodyguard, he looked out for her, facilitating her growth. With her increasing life experience, she finally learned about Zhang Li's identity as the newly appointed human emperor. When she finally learned about all of Zhang Li's silent sacrifices, she was deeply moved. Zhang Li also finally gathered the courage to confess his feelings to this girl who was over 200 years younger than him. "Pureheart, I like you." They took off their clothes and made love in the clouds. "What dream would you like, sir?" "I know the dream path. I can weave dreams for myself." Zhang Li didn't need their services. "We don't offer refunds for spirit stones," the inner sect disciple said, eyeing Zhang Li suspiciously, worried that he might want a refund. Zhang Li laughed. He wouldn't care about such a small amount of money. And he could also get reimbursed by Commander Liu. "Let's see what kind of dream old Bai is having." Zhang Li left the inner sect disciple behind and proceeded to dream. Upon seeing Bai Hongtu becoming the human emperor in his dream, Zhang Li did not expose him. He even respectfully called him Emperor Bai. When the heavenly demon descended, Zhang Li watched Bai Hongtu fight bravely before stepping in to get rid of the heavenly demon and giving Bai Hongtu a mysterious smile. "Perfect, Bai Hongtu will definitely be unsatisfied with his dream and will want to find Dream Pure to have another one. Job well done." Saintess Pureheart's dream was private, and Zhang Li chose to respect her privacy without any intention to peep into it. Just when Zhang Li thought about returning to his own dream, he found the dream expanding and contracting, repeating the process. It was exerting immense power. The dream was being twisted and shattered at will. Two forces of the Mahayana level were interacting across an unknown distance, piercing through the dream world. Zhang Li's expression turned solemn. A similar thing had happened when he encountered the first emperor in the dream world before. What would happen this time?